Part 210. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2095. Yin Yang flying in the air, Jia Yan's clone, smiled slightly. You want to see my true strength, but you are not worthy. Boom. Jia Yan's smile was like a foretelling of death. When the star-level creature reacted instantly, he didn't even have time to think of panic. Then his whole person was slightly startled, and then like that, he plunged headlong into the depths of the stars. There was no resistance, no explosive light, and even no yin and yang moves. Just like that, he died all of a sudden. As for the initiator, Yin Yang himself, it was as if he had not done anything. Even his expressions and movements were exactly the same as before, standing so calmly and proudly above the starry sky. Okay, the leader you are waiting for is dead. Are you going to continue attacking us, or are you going to make the deal I said? We are naturally willing to make a deal. That little guy sneaked up on you, Yin Yang sect master. He deserved what he deserved, and his death was not a pity. We are different from him. Very good, then go back and prepare for the 200-kilometer planet. I look forward to the planet you will deliver within half a month. Jia Yan's words made all the creatures from the force that came along with the planets quickly nod their heads respectfully, and then fled as fast as they could. They didn't even have the thought or courage to say a harsh word to Jia Yan. Even a primary-level star creature has no room for resistance in front of this yin yang. They guys are definitely not willing to die even if they die. It's just a pity that that star-level person is the biggest supporter in their power. I originally thought that with this support, even if the yin-yang sect has the strength to deal with the primary star-level people, it will give them some face, but what they never expected was that not only did the star level not allow them to gain face, but also caused the yin and yang sect not to pursue the matter of only giving them a planet of 150 kilometers. Lives are lost here. It's also to blame that adult for being too arrogant. That's the yin-yang section. How many people have been killed so far in the astral level? Of course, the most frightening thing is, to what extent has the strength of the yin-yang sect master reached? A primary level star creature, let alone a difficult battle, was killed in the blink of an eye without even using any tricks. This shows that the opponent's strength is already that of a primary level star. It's beyond testing. In other words, such a person will definitely not be an ordinary strong man, and it is even very likely that the legend of yin and yang being rumored by the outside world will be true. When this force, which was the first to send a planet, wanted to fish in troubled waters with a small planet, it forced the master of the yin-yang sect to personally take action. After the death of a primary star creature within the yin-yang sect, the matter ended in a strange way. This kind of speed spread rapidly in the surrounding starry sky at a speed that others could not imagine. Above the starry sky, there are many forces paying attention to the yin-yang sect's domineering behavior. Each of them is watching how the yin-yang sect will operate the planet it receives for the first time. It's just that no one thought that the first force sent to the planet, since it was the first, would dare to fish in troubled waters and pass off inferior products as good ones. Doesn't this give the yin-yang sect an excuse to establish its power? Of course, no one cares about what that force thinks. They only care about the yin-yang of the yin-yang sect, who is probably the strongest of the yin-yang section in this incident. He revealed what fighting power. Yin-yang's fighting power did not disappoint, and even made many people's eyes pop out of their sockets. That is the fighting power of yin and yang, which can actually make a strong person at the beginning of the star level not even able to start a fight, but just die in the universe. This is no longer a question of strength or lack of strength, but the combat effectiveness of both sides. They are not on the same level at all, and even contact is impossible. It is very possible that the fighting power of yin and yang has reached the galaxy. This piece of information spread throughout the starry sky in an instant. The information that had been speculated turned out to be a reality. This made the big guys in the entire starry sky, that is, the strong men at the galaxy level, each nodded slightly, understanding that the one who dared not dare to Jiayan the idea of a hands-on primary being in the galaxy. Because he has known for a long time that Yin Yang is also a galaxy being. That galaxy strongman is actually a weakling in the galaxy level. If his combat power were released into the starry sky outside, he would probably be killed instantly by other galaxy levels. Therefore, he did not dare to touch the Yin-Yang sect, but swallowed his anger, giving the Yin-Yang sect a lot of unequal trade. Although these big guys feel that Yin-Yang is a threat, after the originally mysterious thing has become no longer mysterious, they are not so afraid. Originally, what they were afraid of was that the Yin-Yang sect might be someone from the outside world. Large-scale forces that come here to carry out external power business are the most terrifying, because there is likely to be a behemoth behind the Yin-Yang sect. But now that they knew that Yin-Yang sect was at the galaxy level, they became more relaxed. After all, if big outside forces come here to expand their business, then since they have come to a galaxy level, they must start from a place with a higher threshold, rather than starting from a small starry sky like the Yin-Yang section. It shows that Yin-Yang was also very cautious at the beginning, and there should be no force behind him. A galaxy-level person who didn't dare to make a big fuss in this starry domain without a domain master. It's easy to guess his strength. He was probably just a galaxy-level junior. A very rational inference, isn't it? The inference of these first-level powerhouses in the galaxy was very accurate, but it was a pity that they did not calculate another point. That is this foreign strong man. When he comes, what if he is an injured person? Isn't it a more reasonable inference that the injured person is recovering here, and then now that the injury is healed, his fangs are showing? It's a pity that no one thinks so, and even if someone thinks so, they don't think it is correct. In the universe, everything has a possibility. If you think about the worst, then everyone doesn't have to live anymore and can just be an ordinary creature. It is precisely because you can't think of the worst in everything that these galaxy-level powerhouses were born. No matter what the creatures outside think. At least within the Yin-Yang sect, all the disciples of the sect, or those who joined the Yin-Yang sect and became subjects, each one seemed to be celebrating the new year. Their love for Yin and Yang is even more exaggerated. Previously, I only knew that Yin Yang was the leader of the Yin Yang sect, and his strength might be unfathomable. But no one expected that it would be so unfathomable. The people and disciples would not have thought that other galaxy-level powerhouses would think so deeply. They only knew that they were following an existence that might have reached the galaxy level. You know, this was the galaxy level. There were even some creatures that had received personal guidance from Jiayan, and they felt like they were about to faint from happiness at this moment. That was a galaxy-level powerhouse. They actually talked to a galaxy-level powerhouse. This life was worth living. Generally speaking, creatures at the Earth level and Heaven level, let alone the galaxy level, even if they are at the semi-star level, they will rarely have a chance to talk to each other in their lifetime. But in the Yin-Yang sect, they not only have the opportunity, they even join early. The peasants of the Yin-Yang sect became the Yin-Yang Tao teachers of semi-star level experts when they were old, teaching them the initial beginnings of Yin-Yang Tao. It is even said that those Yin-Yang disciples, the weakest senior sister, have taught several half-star level students, and now she is assisting the fourth disciple Lan Kuo to teach the elementary star level who recently joined the Yin-Yang sect. You know, this senior sister, who is only a starry sky class now, actually came to teach the star class. This is simply like the wild night pool. But in Yin-Yang sect, anything can happen. Aopin, what are you doing? Hurry up and transfer your power to me. It's still at the stellar level. When I unloaded my current power, I wasn't as slow as you. Under the Yin-Yang peak, Billy was scolding the huge star-level powerhouse. This elementary star was defeated by Lan Kuo, the fourth disciple of Yin-Yang, that day, and now he has become a member of Yin-Yang sect. He did not expect that after joining the Yin-Yang sect, he would still have Yin-Yang Tao to learn, but the instructor would be the 4 major disciples of Yin-Yang taking turns. Billy was the most capable person in teaching him, and every time he had any questions, he would always get a perfect answer from her when he asked Billy, who was obviously only a star-level girl. It can be seen that although Billy is the weakest among the Yin-Yang disciples, her talent should be the strongest. And it is said that Billy's talent is exactly in line with Yin-Yang's own teaching method. If she asks others to teach her, it will definitely be a waste of her hidden talent. Therefore, Aopin sometimes admires Yin-Yang very much, and he is able to discover his 4 major disciples one after another. From his point of view, these 4 disciples are all likely to be promoted to stars in the future, and at least half of them will reach the level of stars. Of course, he didn't dare to talk about Xing, and probably even the Yin-Yang sect master himself didn't dare to talk about it. This kind of strength depends on luck and personal hard work. The outside world reported that this time the Yin-Yang sect master personally came forward to accept the first transported planet, but was unexpectedly attacked by the enemy, and then the attacker was wiped out in an instant. Li, Biha, Ryan, or Aopin, no one thought it was a big deal. Is this too normal? Others don't know the strength of the Yin-Yang sect master, but their disciples still have some imagination. Especially, although he is not a disciple, he is the only one who has personally experienced the suffering of that terrible pressure. At this moment, he is lucky. He did not disrespect Yin-Yang himself. If he did that, he would probably be the star who died. Portrayal. The strength of the Yin-Yang sect master was finally revealed. That is definitely at the beginning of the galaxy. A lot of people are thinking this way. Intermediate level of galaxy is impossible, because intermediate level of galaxy cannot be so low-key. As for the peak of intermediate galaxy, that is even more nonsense. A creature at the top of the galaxy, even in this star field, is an earth-shattering and extremely powerful existence. If they want some benefits, they directly come forward to fight with the local mid-level peak creature of the galaxy. Just talk, why bother spending a year to develop in this land of Yin-Yang sect? In the entire starry sky, because of the result of this battle, there began to be a gesture of preparation. Those galaxy-level powerhouses began to gather, and some began to lobby other galaxy-level powerhouses to deal with the Yin-Yang sect. They were unwilling to join forces before because they were not sure about the strength of Yin-Yang. Now that they have determined that Yin-Yang's strength is probably at the elementary level of the galaxy, it is worth their while. Previously, they thought that even if Yin-Yang had some strength, he was probably a strong man like the peak of a star. If such a strong man made them join forces like a frightened bird and win, they would all feel embarrassed. Besides, if it was really the summit of the stars, they would be even more afraid to take action, because even the summit of the stars would dare to attack their galaxy-level power, which meant that he must have the support of a big force behind him. Anyway, there was a reason why they didn't join forces before. Now, they can let go and join forces. Regarding the cooperation of these galaxy-level powerhouses, the current intelligence network of Yin-Yang sect seems to have already had rumors. But what was unexpected was that the Yin-Yang sect did not take any countermeasures, let alone what others expected. The Yin-Yang sect will contact other elementary powerhouses in the galaxy to form an alliance of interests. It was like an old god, not worried at all about the upcoming enemy alliance, but only speeding up the exploitation of the surrounding forces. This Yin-Yang sect, we promised to deliver it within 1 month last time, but now we are required to deliver it in 25 days. This is a planet. Although it is only an asteroid, there is no reason to deliver it so quickly. We don't know the fuel and resources. How much more will it cost? SHH, I heard that the Yin-Yang sect is going to be in trouble soon, so I hurriedly received the supplies. Don't ask me where I got the information. Anyway, I know. Ah. Really or not? Are those adults about to take action? Haha, I knew that the evil-doing yin-yang sect was going to be destroyed, so I finally let me wait until this day. Don't talk nonsense. I really can't tell you how the yin-yang sect is. Remember one sentence. How can you dare to go to Liangshan without 3 or 2? The yin-yang sect is confident and must have someone to rely on. It's hard to say in this war. Huh? Well, anyway, when gods fight, we mortals should be careful. Send them away. Since they can fight against the galaxy-level alliance, little shrimps like us can't resist. That's right, last time I heard that a half-star strong man wanted to resist, I thought that there were no half-stars in the yin-yang sect team receiving the supplies, and they were preparing to cause a big event, but I didn't expect. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2096. There are not half-stars, but there are many venerables. Once we join forces, that majestic half-star primary peak person is actually dead. The combat power of this yin and yang dao, tisk, if I hadn't known how difficult it would be to enter, I want to join the yin-yang section. Yes, the starry sky of yin-yang sect today is no longer the remote place we thought. Many caravans are preparing to start selling things there and want to do business. Hey, we, the surrounding forces, provide blood, made him rich. Stop talking so much, just give it away. 25 days is just 25 days. There are so many planets, and I don't know what the yin-yang sect master is doing with them. It's just a show of force. A large number of alien creatures no longer dare to put up any resistance to the yin-yang section. They believe that this period of time is a process of forbearance, because the galaxy-level bosses in the distance have already reached a consensus and are ready to come to deal with the yin-yang sect. When they join forces, the yin-yang sect will not be far from being destroyed, and the torture of this period will be over. As for whether these galaxy-level beings can deal with the yin-yang sect if they join forces, no one really doubts it. After all, everyone believes that the yin-yang sect is still a force that has just been established. Even if there is a galaxy-level existence of the yin-yang sect leader, how can you deal with several galaxy-level people? They would not think of as many profound questions as those galaxy-level powerhouses, let alone whether there was any big force behind the yin-yang sect, but the conclusion they finally came to was the same as those galaxy-level beings. That is, the yin-yang sect will not survive long. This is the case with everything in the world. No matter how high the rationality or wisdom is, as long as the situation is not one-sided, in the end everyone will stand on the side that they support or that is good for them. The people from the yin-yang sect are on the side of the yin-yang sect. Many areas that were either forced to rule by the yin-yang sect, or areas that voluntarily joined the yin-yang sect, have become monolithic at this moment. The reason why they became monolithic was never their love for the sect, that was just a lie. Everyone supports the same thing, often out of profit considerations. Now the yin-yang sect has given them extremely amazing benefits, so a sense of identity has come. And this beneficial thing is also very simple, that is the yin and yang Tao taught to everyone by the yin-yang sect. The changes that yin-yang Dao has brought to everyone in the entire yin-yang sect are truly earth-shaking. In the yin-yang sect, now that their combat prowess is revealed, almost everyone is a powerful master at killing enemies across levels. Especially the weakened version improved by Jia Yan's meteorite explosion technique can be used even at the heaven level. This can be said to be the yin-yang Dao. A great weapon for low-level experts. If it is not attached to meteorites and other substances, it will be prolonged and the effect will be weakened. Maybe the heavenly members of the yin-yang sect will make meteorite explosives every day without practicing. When there are countless accumulated, even the venerable they all dare to take action. Unfortunately, there are not such good items in the world, and the weaker the yin and yang Dao master, the more difficult it is to create long-lasting explosives. They can only make preparations a few days before the upcoming battle, which is a big problem. Let the people of Yin and Yang Dao have their combat effectiveness greatly reduced without preparation. But even so, Yin Yang Dao is still strong. The positive and negative explosive power, as well as the terrifying cross-level killing effect of joining forces even without explosives, still allow Yin Yang Dao to show terrifying power in the recent series of wars. Become famous all over the world. Therefore, the entire Yin Yang sect has a strong sense of pride. Even the areas that were previously conquered through less than peaceful means have come together to support the Yin Yang sect with surprising cohesion. Our sect is very strong. Even if those galaxy-level beings join forces, we will always have a way, not to mention that they may not be able to join forces. Aren't the galaxy-level beings very conceited? Ordinary creatures think that it is very difficult for galaxy-level people to join forces. In fact, they thought wrong. Within the entire galaxy, the galaxy class is the real overlord. If it were not easy for them to join forces and coordinate and communicate, then the galaxy would have been filled with wars long ago. On the contrary, strong people are very good at communication. No one who can cultivate to the galaxy level wants to die. With such strength, it is really a pity to die. Of course, just because the galaxy level cherishes their lives, they are very slow to join forces. There are many strong people who want to have a good understanding of the strength of the Yin-Yang sect before joining forces. During this time, Jia Yan continued to follow the same old path, practicing while waiting. At this time, he was too busy. He has already collected 5 of the planets sent to him, occupying a huge area in subspace. I can't put them down anymore. It's already very difficult for me to protect them from being damaged by the distortion in the subspace. If I put them down again, I have to use my real body. I might as well start using them now. Jia Yan's clone is inside the subspace, silently guarding these meteorites. And his true body is practicing not far away. In fact, he has been practicing in this way, and the speed is not slow at all. After all, for Jia Yan, he began to gradually find that when he used the clone, as long as he used it well, it did not take up much of his energy. And even felt that the clone had a certain self-personality. Therefore, the real body is practicing with all its strength, and the avatar is helping with other things. This is an extremely efficient method. Buzz buzz. Suddenly, the 30-kilometer-long body on the other side of the real body suddenly emitted a burst of earth-shattering resonance, and then a sharp brilliance suddenly emerged from the real body. Very good. I have mastered a new path. I have paved the way to the peak of the intermediate level of the body's galaxy. The real body suddenly regained some consciousness, and then the huge giant mosquito body flew towards the 5 planets here. Although I need to use star cores, or even worse, I have to use big planets to offset the star cores, but there are only asteroids in this starry sky. Even if there are big planets, I directly said that I want a planet as big as others. Even if it is a galaxy level, everyone in existence must fight with me. Jia Yan knew that if he directly asked those forces to provide a planet with a diameter of several thousand or even tens of thousands of kilometers like the Earth, those forces would not be able to come up with it, and even if they could come up with it, they would definitely have to fight hard. So he settled for the next best thing, as long as everyone could afford it by cutting down on clothing and dieting, and it wouldn't be too strenuous. And what did he use it for? This is a good question. The huge giant mosquito flew next to 5 asteroids with a diameter of about 200 kilometers. Of these 5, except for the first one which is smaller, the other ones all meet my requirements. Jia Yan looked at the 5 planets at the moment and then flew around them. His terrifying giant mosquito body reaches a size of more than 30 kilometers. In fact, compared with a planet with a diameter of 200 kilometers, he does not look small at all, and even looks like a huge monster. Of course, 5 asteroids of this size, together, are still much larger than Jia Yan. When combined, they are also a large planet. Yes, I am preparing to merge, because these 5 asteroids are essentially similar to ordinary planets. If they are combined in one place, if my guess is correct, I can use some methods to try to create star core, or something similar to a star core. It's not that other strong people have never thought of such a method, but they are different from me. I am an evolved beast and have a very strong ability to swallow things, but they can't. Like the last time I was in the star field near the central star field of the Milky Way, it swallows the material in the planet, which is said to be similar to the star core, but only an evolved beast like me can swallow it, and other galaxy-level creatures cannot swallow it at all. It was the same this time. Jia Yan looked at the 5 planets in front of him and sighed. There is no way, poor man, if he also has a super powerful force behind him to support his cultivation, he will definitely find an intact star core or an energy product of the same level to practice. There is no need to use these low-quality substitutes. Fortunately, he is an evolved beast. He used to consume a lot of resources, but now, the resources for his cultivation have become very extensive. He can use them that others cannot use. In addition to eating more, he can save money and worry. It really depends on him. Let's start. Jia Yan looked at the 5 planets in front of him, and then started his action. The brainwave power was activated instantly, and everyone in Jia Yan became solemn. This is his attempt. If it succeeds, then the possibility of his attempt in the future will be extremely high. Buzz buzz. Jia Yan placed one of his feet on the smallest asteroid with a diameter of 150 kilometers. Then the brainwave power was continuously input into this small planet, which was not much bigger than him. Yin yin yin. There was a slight tremor inside the entire asteroid. The positive and negative forces are constantly vibrating in it, then twisting and deforming. Strange colors surged out of Jia Yan's eyes, and then the other leg pierced into another asteroid with a diameter of 200 kilometers from a distance. Hey, these guys said they need a diameter of 200 kilometers. Just give me about 200. It's almost not too different, but it's good. It saves me having to measure and adjust the strength myself. Jia Yan smiled slightly, and then he released even greater power, controlling his brainwave power tightly. The planets on both sides were controlled by him with his feet, and the positive and negative forces were constantly vibrating in them. Then the 2 planets actually felt like they were melting together. Yin yin yin. Jia Yan felt a little tired in his energy. After all, this was different from destroying a planet. It was melting them entirely. Finally, both planets turned into magma. Except for the feet that controlled them, the entire planet was covered with molten rock rolling. Hey, at least so far, everything is going smoothly. Jia Yan smiled slightly, and then he surged a little more of his brainwave power. Groan. The 2 melting planets slowly approached, and then came closer. Puff. The planets came together and merged into one place. A full 7 or 8 hours have passed. The 150-kilometer diameter planet and the 200-kilometer diameter planet have actually turned into a planet with molten rock on the surface, completely integrated. In place, it's as if they belong to the same planet. Haha, it worked. This is better than I thought. After all, the positive and negative forces work together to destroy the atoms and molecules inside them, forming the feeling of vibrating high-frequency particles, which allowed them to the right connection is in one place. Jia Yan smiled slightly and looked at his masterpiece in front of him. This is another benefit of Yin-Yang Dao. Perhaps other energy practitioners will be shocked when they see what Jia Yan has done. Different from the creation of life shown by the Zerg Queen to Jia Yan's positive and negative forces shock and destroy at the molecular level. If Jia Yan saw that the Zerg Queen's control of power could create life, it was a kind of if he has unique skills, then this is a brand new skill. Although it is not as amazing as hers in creating life, the prospects of this power are actually better. Actually, there is already a hint of star core inside the two fused planets, but this is far from enough. At least the remaining planets must be fused in before I can barely use them. Yes, Jia Yan wants so many small planets because he plans to use his yin and yang dao to fuse them and then artificially create a star core. And this time is different from the last time he drilled into a large planet to create a star core. This time, he played a bigger and more thorough trick. He actually tried to fuse the planets and to create star cores. Probably the galaxy-level powerhouses in the outside world, unless they were extremely powerful, would be dumbfounded when they saw Jia Yan's behavior at this time. I actually played a planet fusion. Is the purpose just to get the star core? This is not much different from creation. Of course, the things that are difficult for them are not so difficult for yin and yang dao. After all, the positive and negative forces of yin and yang dao make it easy to accomplish such things. In fact, Jia Yan has been using methods like this for a long time, which are explosives that are now popularized to lower-level creatures. The power of these explosives is the use of the positive and negative forces of yin and yang dao. In terms of fusion, it is to control the positive and negative forces without exploding. This requires extremely terrifying control and consumes a lot of energy. It is impossible for a yin and yang dao expert who is not a galaxy-level existence to do it, even if it is except for Jia Yan. It would be difficult for others to control the yin and yang dao masters promoted through yin and yang dao so accurately. After all, they are not the creators of yin and yang dao, and they cannot have Jia Yan's understanding and level of yin and yang dao. Even I am a little tired, there are still 3 more. Jia Yan took a short rest, and before the 2 planets cooled down, he quickly brought the other 3 closer again, preparing to kill 3 of them at once. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2097. Yin yin yin. The entire subspace was shaking and shaking. The sky and the earth are all a pale color, which is the color reflected by the thermal radiation of the planet. A total of 5 independent asteroids that were originally separated have merged into one body, but their appearance is still rudimentary and they are constantly merging. Boom boom boom. The color of the sky and the earth has turned into a golden feeling. You must know that this place is inside the subspace, and there are twisted places everywhere. It has turned into this kind of feeling, which is simply unimaginable. But coincidentally, the huge mosquito in the subspace created such an image. Very horrible. Jia Yan's brainwave power was exerted bit by bit. He kept controlling his brainwave power, and his whole body was shaking a little. This is a strenuous feeling. After all, no matter how powerful he is still a little tired trying to control such a terrifying star. Besides, what he wants to do is not destruction, fusion, and creation, but it is much more difficult than destruction. But no matter how difficult things are, as long as you persist, you will still be able to finish them. Bang! Finally, when the 5 asteroids that were originally separated turned into a red and melted round star, the power in the entire subspace quickly evacuated, and the explosion caused a shocking scene in an instant. Ha ha ha, it's done. Even though Jia Yan was such a majestic person, he couldn't bear it at this time and burst out laughing. This can be said to be very satisfying. He was able to do this kind of thing, which greatly exercised his control of positive and negative forces. It can only be said that after he completed this thing, he finally gained another kind of endless inexhaustible power. Good training material. That is to create such a small star, and he can make an artificial star core from this star. The fusion of 5 asteroids has a diameter of about 500 kilometers. Although it is still small, it is already enough for me to operate and create something similar to a star core. Jia Yan's eyes were full of sparkle. Although an asteroid with a diameter of 500 kilometers is still too small, the point is that he made this asteroid himself. It would have been impossible to create a planet with a star core. He removed a lot of impurities in it, and the unstable area also became an equilibrium, so he was able to operate on the planet and change the appearance of the core to what he liked best. Of course, the key point is the pressure. The last explosion of the planet just now was caused by the force that Jia Yanjiang had arranged all along to detonate, causing the planet to collapse towards the center. As a result, the core fully meets his requirements. Compared with the star core I used at the beginning, it is still much worse, but it is already almost the same as the star core level of the small planets I found in the star field around the central star field of the Milky Way. Jia Yan is already very satisfied with this. The planets found near the central star field of the Milky Way have worse star cores and cannot be used by others. Although this is only of that level today, each of those planets has at least a few. A jump with a diameter of 1000 kilometers can achieve the same effect as one with a diameter of 500 kilometers, which is an extremely good performance. Besides, this one is like this. Other forces are still sending in a steady stream of asteroids. One is 200 kilometers long. Throw it in and manipulate it slowly, or there may be a chance to make it bigger. Well, no matter what the future holds, it's already working to some extent. Jia Yan smiled and moved his body. The entire planet, with its tight structure, was squeezed out of an extremely huge hole by him. His body originally reached 30 kilometers, almost 1/10 of the diameter of this 500-kilometer planet, and now he got into it. Like a big insect drilling into the sphere. The scene became lively again, and the whole planet was trembling. Then Jia Yan entered the innermost core part, and saw that this place had become an ultra-high density place, and the dense tissue in the center was really all Jia Yan's most dense tissue. Required star core material. Good, then I can use it. Jia Yan pierced his feet into these dense tissues and dug out the contents. Not long after, on the planet that had lost a little of its center, another huge mosquito exited the big hole. Jia Yan's feet were tattooed with the so-called artificial star core. This star core is still fundamentally different from the star core naturally formed in the outside world. First of all, there are a lot less impurities, which is a good thing. But compared with the star core in the outside world, there are fewer nutrients similar to it. In other words, the effect may be good or bad. Use it first and then talk about it. Jia Yan looked at it and saw that the planet that had begun to repair itself, no matter how much it was, began to devour itself. Puff. The mouth part pierced into the core of the star, and then an extremely pure power flowed into his body from the needle-shaped biological tube of the mouth part. It's very cool, but there are indeed a lot less impurities, and apart from strength, there is no more supplement. It seems that when doing these things in the future, we should pay attention to deliberately adding some impurities. After all, the water is pure. Then there would be no fish. Jia Yan summarized his experience, and then, the star core swallowed up inside his body instantly turned into the positive and negative forces of yin and yang, which he quickly absorbed. Haha, it's true. I deliberately used the yin and yang dao to create it, and then left a hand inside the star core, which can quickly decompose the star core into positive and negative forces. Now I have found the right path. If I keep using this in the future cultivation, especially if an extremely huge planet with positive and negative power comes out, doesn't that mean that I can rely on just such a planet for my cultivation? Oh, no, creating such a planet also requires the support of external energy, not to mention that planets are also divided into high energy and low energy. If I bring some high energy materials to these manufactured planets, then the stars they produce the core will also be super high energy, so I am still cautious about external resources. After Jia Yan figured these things out, he began to continue devouring them. And this swallowing made him so happy that he almost wanted to moan. After all, it is a star core. Even if it is an artificial star core, it is a delicacy of supreme energy. Jia Yan suddenly thought that it was not in vain that he had spent so much energy to build such a planet. Very good. During the time it takes for it to repair itself, it is estimated that other asteroids will be sent from the outside world. Then I will try to see if, with my strength, I can make it continue to grow bigger and integrate a few more planets into it. Then the star core produced by the entire planet will probably be much more delicious. Jia Yan is still very satisfied with this attempt. After all, he has already fallen out with all the forces around the yin-yang sect because of this matter, and even caused those galaxy-level powerhouses to start to unite. If what he creates has no effect, then those enemies will stand in vain. Fortunately, the result was not beyond his expectation and the effect was obvious. Jia Yan was satisfied with his experiment, and then flew deeper into the subspace. He wanted to experience the consumption and absorbed star cores this time. At this moment, no one knows what he is doing with the planet that Jia Yan has researched, but almost everyone understands that the master of the yin-yang sect must have his own role. And because it costs so much at one time, some people began to speculate that Jia Yan might be using these planets to make weapons for war, such as war planet fortresses and the like. After all, many civilizations, when they reach the later stage, directly replace battleships with small planets. This is also a more economical approach. After all, battleships are not such cheap things. Although the yin-yang sect can't be said to have no money, they started from scratch, and the timetable for their prosperity is just the beginning of these few months, and they have been aggressively buying and selling to others. Although they have made a lot of money, it is not the same as the real one. Compared with other major powers, after all, their rise is too slow, and they don't even have a fraction of their wealth. Therefore, once such forces know that they are preparing to fight a very powerful force, their only option is to reduce their expenses and compete with those big forces as much as possible. Either the war will be delayed until neither side can continue the war, or the war will end. He worked hard to make his own weapons. The yin-yang sect has one option, which is to use a large number of asteroids to make mobile warships. This cost is really low, and the effect is very good. It is not unreasonable for most people to think so, especially for many disciples of the yin-yang section. The sect leader must be doing this. Otherwise, in order to control these planets, he is willing to risk war with many forces. That is simply it's just something that's not worth the gain. But when used as a weapon and fortress in war, the yin-yang sect still falls far short of the basic combat effectiveness of strong men, which is difficult to make up for. Even if the war weapons transformed from planets are very effective in group warfare, the problem is that they cannot resist a star-level powerhouse. Even if half-star-level powerhouses join forces, these war fortresses will not be able to resist. It would have too big an impact on the half-star level. So everyone is still worried about what will happen to the yin-yang sect's basic combat effectiveness if a war starts in the future. Faced with this situation, the yin-yang sect has obviously thought of countermeasures for a long time. Everyone in the yin-yang sect has seen the inside of the yin-yang sect and has recently accelerated the development of joint tactics. Everyone who studies yin-yang dao, even if it is only at the prefecture level, will have a mandatory measure, that is, you must find your own joint resistance. Each planet must have 3 days to practice jointly fighting against the resistance. Even under such a system, there must be some people who fish in troubled waters, but there is no problem that the combat effectiveness of the entire yin-yang sect has been greatly improved. Therefore, some members of the Onmyoji sect who started fighting with outsiders or people with ulterior motives because they were accused and teased by people from other forces when they were operating outside were surprised to find that originally they were nothing in the same class, but because they had learned yin and yang dao, all of them have terrifying fighting power. One time in particular, Several heaven-level creatures from the yin-yang sect went to an outside tavern to drink. However, a creature of the first level of the Venerable came in and saw them. As a result, he came to make fun of the problems of the yin-yang sect, and finally ended up with these few people. The yin-yang sect creature who was at the top of the heaven level couldn't stand it anymore and started fighting with him. You know, this is a heaven level battle against a Zun level. No one would think that the heaven level creatures who were 2 levels short of each other would have the slightest chance of winning anywhere. After all, the fighting prowess of both sides, even though one is at the peak of the heaven level, and the other is at the weakest and lowest level of the venerable level, there is no need to worry about the outcome. It should be the venerable level creature that wins. But after the results came out, the whole world was in an uproar. Because the winners were actually those peak heaven level beings from the yin-yang sect. For a time, rumors about the existence of the yin-yang sect were spread across the entire starry sky. What a powerful statement, guys. Of course, the yin-yang dao of the yin-yang sect is indeed strong, but it is still very difficult for them to kill creatures that are 2 levels higher than themselves. The senior executives in the yin and yang dao now have a very detailed understanding, which is what Jia Yan asked them to understand. Don't be inflated. The yin and yang dao is powerful, but within the central star field of the Milky Way, there are still people who are better than their own yin and yang dao. More powerful techniques. Therefore, the yin and yang Taoists are not so inflated that they feel like they are number 1 in the world. But there is still expansion. A large number of people, who were completely ordinary people before, are now frequently applying to go to the stars outside. They are looking for fights and a sense of their own existence. Although the yin-yang sect openly prohibits this kind of behavior, it secretly gives the green light to this kind of behavior. As a result, these people of the yin-yang dao went to the outside world, just like eating chicken blood. Those who compete in some martial arts competitions and come back with a prize have to say proudly during interviews, in our yin-yang sect, people like me can only be regarded as ordinary people. Those who are at the same level as me in the sect are better than me. Yes, you can line up to circle this planet. To put it this way, well, this is a national competition for the same level. You are the strongest. You also say that the same level in yin-yang dao is much stronger than you. Isn't it from the side that the level of the same level on this planet is worse than that of yin-yang dao? Extremely many. Of course, it is already recognized that yin-yang dao is powerful, not to mention that he has become the overlord of the nearby forces. Even if people dare to be angry, they dare not speak out. Therefore, the reputation, prestige, and momentum of Onmyedo have become gradually more exaggerated in recent times. As a result, the forces that send supplies to yin-yang dao have gradually become more straightforward. Jia Yan obtained more and more planets, and finally ushered in the next fusion time. Haha, are they 5 planets again? This time they are quite good. They are all more than 200 kilometers in diameter. I guess they don't dare to trick me. Oh, one of them is more than 250 kilometers. Very good. This power, let's give him some benefits in the future. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2098. In the subspace, Jia Yan no longer needs to move out, the outside world has sent the planet this time. If you really want to look for things like asteroids, there are a lot of them in the starry sky. After all, they are 200 kilometers in diameter. Even in the central star field of the Milky Way where planet development is intensive, not every one has been developed or is worth developing. Those forces can still push things that are not suitable for development or have no economic prospects and cost a certain amount of travel expenses to the yin-yang sect. Of the 5 asteroids Jia Yan received this time, none were smaller than 200 kilometers in diameter, which met his basic requirements. Otherwise, if each one of them sent a small asteroid like that, he would not be able to do it at all. It cannot be integrated into a large planet. Groan. Not long after, what happened last time reappeared in the subspace. Jia Yan repeated his old trick and first fused the 5 planets. The positive and negative forces inside were also very balanced. Each planet had a specific fusion state. When they were fused together, the characteristics and uniqueness of these planets, the mineral resources, will be integrated with the characteristics of other planets to become a planet rich in everything. This is the best state for the star core. It is a pity that the fusion method used by Jia Yan, because the material inside the entire planet became a high-temperature state during the process, most of the materials were actually destroyed, and for Jia Yan, this way the substances are all very important and good things, but they cannot be fused without melting, so there is no other way. He can only watch these substances disappear one by one on the fused planet with heartache. Haha, it's done. Not long after, an asteroid with a diameter of 500 kilometers appeared in front of Jia Yan again, much larger than the previous 5 asteroids. When placed together with the last asteroid with a diameter of 500 kilometers, it looks obviously larger. This is because this time there is nothing missing. This is why Jia Yan said he wanted to give some rewards to the forces this time. Of course, he believes that the forces that come back in the future will not be lacking in anything. After all, the death of a stellar powerhouse last time was still bloody in front of them, and they will not be able to do that again. Great courage. One is 500 kilometers away, and there is another used one. In fact, when the used one recovers, I can reuse it, but the question is it worth reusing? Do you want to go crazy? Jia Yan has actually been thinking about one thing, and that is when he will start to build a large planet and a higher level star core that can only be born on a large planet. And the deliciousness of this star core must be that he does not have it. Have you tasted it? Jia Yan is a mosquito. He has an instinctive need to absorb delicious food. Moreover, he has been coveting powerful energy for a long time. The energy of the 500-kilometer fusion planet obviously does not seem to be enough for Jia Yan today, nor is it delicious enough. Integrate. If you want to do something like this, do it, or you will regret it in the future. Besides, I was planning to fuse the big planet, but I was just hesitant about when to start. If I start now, my lack of experience will not cause big problems. Jia Yan started the fusion of 2 500-kilometer diameter planets with the premise of failure. You know, these are 2 small planets with a diameter of 500 kilometers. If one of them is placed in front of Jia Yan's eyes, they are both huge. When the 2 merge together, they instantly look like a real big planet. Buzz buzz. The entire subspace was shaking and twisting, trying to tear anything that dared to appear inside the subspace to pieces. But these distortions were blocked by a terrifying force and did not make any progress. Jia Yan was busy, constantly balancing the power of the 2 stars that were gradually moving closer to the planet. He was very tired and needed to hesitate to release his brainwave power to control the fusion process of the planet. He also had to release the positive and negative forces to input 2 asteroids with a diameter of 500 kilometers to prevent them from appearing. Explosion and energy imbalance lead to the consequence that even if the fusion is successful, you cannot use it. This process is indeed a bit tiring. Even the giant mosquito himself felt a little exhausted. But the good thing is that there are so many small planets as preliminary preparations for practicing. Now that he has some experience, he is gradually gaining a feel for the fused small planet. Give it to me. The 2 500-kilometer diameter asteroids, which shone with fire and exploded with ruins from time to time, finally completely overlapped. Although it seemed that there were still shadows of 2 small planets, they gradually merged into one. Enough to slowly turn into a round planet due to its own gravity and strength. Ha ha ha, it worked. This is a small to medium-sized star with a diameter of 700 kilometers. Jia Yan looked at the round star that appeared in front of him and felt a sense of pride. You know, when the 10 planets with a diameter of 200 kilometers were sent, because each of them was not heavy enough to make them appear to be pure circles, most of them were irregular, but Jia here, one by one, they gradually merged into one place, turning them into a round planet with a diameter of 700 kilometers. It was beautiful and solemn, much more beautiful than their original appearances. Of course, even if these small stars have self-awareness and say that this appearance is not good looking, Jia Yan will still do this. It's for the star core created within it. Very good. Even if such a large star is thrown on the moon, it will not be invisible. The diameter of the moon is more than 3,400 kilometers. This one placed on the surface of the moon is exactly 5 times its diameter. 1/2 diameter is big enough. Jia Yan smiled and flew directly to the surface of this huge planet. An asteroid with a diameter of 700 kilometers is enough for a creature as large as 30 kilometers like him to feel that it is a planet when he steps on it, with a clear sense of arc. I feel quite proud. I have created such a planet. Moreover, this planet is different from other natural planets. It can be said that the whole thing has been adjusted. Even the materials inside are almost empty. Wherever it is tilted, it is completely flat, and there is not even a trace of redundancy or reduction of resources. This is the benefit of artificial creation. After Jia Yan watched for a while, he allowed his energy to rest a little, and within half an hour, he stood up again. He wanted to take action before the hot geology caused by the fusion of planets cooled down. Boom! Although there is no air on the surface of the planet, the huge vibrations still cause the sound inside the planet to be transmitted, causing extremely violent vibrations. It turns out that the body of the giant mosquito is on this side of the planet, drilling directly into the inside. If a giant mosquito body of more than 30 kilometers in size wants to penetrate into the core area of a planet with a diameter of 700 kilometers, it has to penetrate more than 10 times the distance of the body. This is like a 1.7 meter person going to drilling 17 meters into the ground must be very tiring. Of course, for creatures that can create such a planet, it is relatively simple to just get into it. Oh! There is actually pressure inside the planet, and the difference is so big. When Jia Yan was halfway through the drill, he felt that the gravity pressure inside the planet was very strong, which was much greater than that of an ordinary planet. It must have been when I created it that the planet gained new characteristics after being suppressed by my positive and negative forces. Jia Yan smiled slightly and did not find anything surprising about the star's performance at this moment. Regarding the creation of such a star, if there is no unexpected situation, then it is a ghost. He, Jia Yan, is not an astrologer, nor does he know much about astronomy and geography, so if the star is created, there will be if he can control all changes, he is an omniscient and omnipotent God. Well, the sense of star core here is already very strong. That's right. When the diameter is 200 kilometers, they all have star cores, but they are useless. At 500 kilometers, the smell of star cores is just yes, at 700 kilometers, it must be much better than at 500 kilometers. When Jia Yan drilled 200 kilometers, he already felt that the core of this planet would be good. What surprised him even more was that when he entered the core of the planet, his eyes lit up. If a planet increases its diameter and width by 200 kilometers, it is not just an increase in width by 200 kilometers. You must know that this will cause internal changes in the entire planet, so is there any different feeling inside this planet? Jia Yan is still looking forward to it. But even if he expected it, he would not have thought that it would only increase the thickness by 200 kilometers, and there would be such changes in the core of this star. The liquid inside the star core has a pressure comparable to that of a planet with a diameter of 1,000 kilometers. In addition, the taste of these liquefied star cores is, delicious. It is simply delicious. Jia Yan's face instantly became happy. This no longer needs to be transported out for operation and processing before it can be absorbed. I can directly suck and digest it here. The pressure here is nothing to me. After Jia Yan smiled, he poked out his huge and slender mouth part, then pointed it at the magma-like star core liquid in front of him, pierced it with a needle, and then sucked it hard. Gurgling, gurgling. The sound of sucking sounds very strange in this tight space. After all, generally no living thing can enter the interior of a planet and swallow the core material of the planet. But unfortunately, at this moment, there is such a creature, devouring the star core of the planet, and it feels like it is extremely enjoyable. No matter how you look at it, this scene is weird and creepy. It's cool and comfortable. The star core of this artificial star can be said to be the second best among the many star cores I have eaten. It is only weaker than the real natural star core given to me by the Queen of the Zerg. However, it is incomparable to that kind of star core, which is one that will be born independently in the universe for who knows how many years. The others are not naturally evolved star cores. Presumably the star cores circulating in the world today are also various types of star cores. It was obtained through various methods, and the inferior ones among them may not be as good as what I am devouring. And the star core materials I swallowed were made by myself. In addition, there are a large number of special positive and negative forces in them. When I swallowed them into my body, it was like the power released from my own body, directly it can be absorbed. Compared with other star core powers, it is easier to absorb and the utilization rate is much higher. What suits you is the best. If there were two star cores in front of him now, one made by himself with positive and negative power, and the other a pure natural star core, as long as the properties and weight were the same, Jia Yan would definitely choose his own star core. After all, this self-made star core is the most nourishing to him. Very good. I've absorbed all the star cores this time, so I have to quit and wait. What a pity. After Jia Yan sucked for a while, he felt that the whole mosquito body was burning, so he stepped out. Every newly formed star will have a rapid process of forming a star core. Jia Yan called the inside of this first formed artificial star core the primary liquid. After absorbing this primary liquid, it was very important to him. It is said to be a supreme enjoyment. But this kind of thing can only be regarded as a benefit when creating a planet for the first time. Moreover, the newly born liquid is only fast. For the real star core liquid, or finally, the solid star core that may be formed in the center, that is the best. Good real star core. But it is difficult for such a small planet to have that kind of real star core appear, and it takes time to settle. I don't care if it's difficult or not, but now I've tasted the benefits. If those forces come here again, won't I be able to create such quasar cores infinitely? Although it is a bit energy consuming, in general, it is still cost effective. Besides, I don't have a better way to improve now. This is an extremely fast training method. Besides, they don't dare to make trouble for the time being. Jia Yan has been searching for information about the alliance between strong men from the outside world, so he knows that those local strong men at the galaxy level cannot fully join forces to deal with him, but it is not that fast. Before that, Jia Yan had always been able to freely demand those forces and make trades with him. Not to mention that Jia Yan is domineering, Jia Yan is just following the tradition in the entire starry sky that the strong are respected. In this way, he is already much better than countless strong men. The other strong men are unreasonable. Of course, another important reason why Jia Yan didn't rob was because there were still people around him that put pressure on him. Otherwise, there was still some doubt whether he would also rob. It's not like Jia Yan has never done that before. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2099. After enjoying the extremely delicious star core, Jia Yan became very concerned about the interests above the starry sky, especially the large number of asteroid balls that were about to be obtained. Are the forces over there unwilling to take action for so long? Do you want to send a small team to attack? After absorbing the star core, calming the energy in his body, and then slowly improving his strength, Jia Yan suddenly saw through his brain that there was actually a force within the circle he drew. After accepting the order of the Yin-Yang sect, there was no action, obviously he was planning to delay. Although the planet sent by a force does not have much impact on the current Jia Yan, one will cause two. If they are not attacked more powerfully, then the forces next to them will probably follow suit. That's a big problem. There are still 23 forces that can still be exploited. If this family doesn't give it, there will definitely be more than 10 others who will do the same. That will have a great impact on my cultivation speed. Once Jia Yan starts practicing, he is really very fast. The 10 planets have not kept up, and the number of star cores will also be reduced. Even if this planet will still be sent in the future, it is slow. To practice, you have to race against time. For him, this is not a huge blow. For strong people, you can scold them or insult them, but if you want to affect their cultivation speed, it is equivalent to killing them. This is impossible for any strong person to accept. A strike must be struck. There have been so many examples before, but they refuse to accept it. It is estimated that the strong people here also have a certain degree of confidence. Either they have some confidence, or they just regard death as death. Jia Yan analyzed it and felt that there was no such thing as looking back at death in the universe, especially in the central star field of the Milky Way where the weak had almost no moral integrity, so he thought that the other party should have some confidence. Right. So what is the confidence? Hey, could it be that it's still some kind of galaxy class, and it's really going to take charge? That would be interesting. Jia Yan smiled slightly. If the opponent has galaxy-level people running into this force, then the opponent is probably waiting for people from the Yin-Yang sect to pass by and throw themselves into the trap. For them, it is also very useful to capture some of the core figures of the Yin-Yang section. After all, it is they don't understand the Yin-Yang sect's information at all. Since there are such doubts, it is not convenient for my real body to go there. After all, I have to hide my strength and practice. The star core I just swallowed cannot be wasted. But the real body is nothing more than, is there any other way to deal with a possible galaxy-level powerhouse? Maybe there is only one way. If it is a possible galaxy-level existence, Jia Yan has only one way. It's very simple, that is to use his clones to join the battle group. The strength of each of my clones can be roughly as high as mid-star level in appearance, but in reality their physical strength has only reached the peak of half-star level. They were attacked head-on by a galaxy-level powerhouse. If you attack, you will definitely die, but if you join forces, these disadvantages will be greatly reduced or even reduced. The only problem is, Jia Yan was thinking about this battle. Although I'm not sure yet, there is a galaxy-level existence over there, but it's always good to be prepared for a rainy day. If the enemy is a galaxy level, then there is another problem besides whether he can defeat the opponent, that is, if his clone has passed, will the strong man see that his clone is a clone? Once his clone was discovered, his strength could no longer be concealed. This problem can be big or small. Of course, if the other party can't escape and is seen, it will be seen. After catching it, why don't you let me squeeze it into a round shape? The biggest doubt is that the other party is not a person, or is powerful, so it will be difficult to handle well. If several of my clones join forces to go there, we may not be able to defeat them. Jia Yan thought a lot, and then made a decision while feeling depressed. Edisha, please help me send my clone over, and at the same time push my real body through the subspace. It will definitely not be that comfortable while practicing, but there is nothing you can do. I hope I won't use my real body. Jia Yan had no choice but to make this decision. Instead of letting his identity and strength be exposed, it would be better for his real body to be a little tired and be pushed to the battle site by the Aditha while practicing. Yes, master. The little mosquitoes of light and shadow fly around in the subspace without being affected by distortion at all. Of course, Aditha was controlling the Aditha. This huge spaceship quickly took off. It was placed on Jia Yan's back and pushed him forward. Inside the Aditha, there were many clones of Jia Yan. When Jia Yan and the clones started moving together, he also asked the clone Yin Yang on the Yin Yang star to issue a plan to deal with the forces that dared to defy the Yin Yang sect's trade requirements. No one in the entire Yin Yang star or the territory currently ruled by the Yin Yang sect is too worried about this news. Although many people do not want to see the battle, their own power is so terrifying, and it is not suitable for most people. It is still a very satisfying thing, which means that they will live a relatively peaceful life in the future. Of course, they don't care whether this peace is the result of the discord of other forces and people in the outside world. And when this promulgated law was released, some senior people within the Yin-Yang sect saw the difference. That is, the Yin-Yang sect originally only needed one or a few half-stars to deal with certain forces, but this time, the battle requirements issued by Yin-Yang actually required the number of people to go to the battlefield, far exceeding the previous ones, and even more. I asked for a 7 or 8-digit half-star level. You know, this is less than half of the current half-star level within the entire force of the Yin-Yang sect. Is there any big problem? Otherwise, why would we have to dispatch so many half-stars? It is said that the force is not strong. I know the strong people in that force. They are only 3 or 4 half-star strong people at most, not even star-level people. But there is a problem, that is, behind this force, there is a galaxy-level strong person. They have a very good relationship with each other, which means they are supported by a galaxy-level powerhouse. So when we go there this time, there may be men of the galaxy-level powerhouse coming to intercept us? Or, may we directly confront the forces of the galaxy-level powerhouse? No wonder the Yin-Yang sect master actually summoned so many people. After all, our power is okay against ordinary small powers, but against a galaxy-level power, it is simply courting death. So what's the use of so many of us going there? Could it be that the enemy's galaxy-level forces have sent out star-level forces, and we really can't fight them? Even if we could fight, we wouldn't dare. There are galaxy-level forces behind them. A group of half-stars under the current rule of the Yin-Yang sect, each one, is whispering in private. Their sense of smell is very keen. After all, this time seems relatively dull, but they know that there is definitely something wrong with this abnormal movement under the dullness. But they didn't dare to ask, so they could only accept the assignment honestly. The only thing that gives everyone some peace of mind is that within the Yin-Yang sect, although it is not stated explicitly, everyone believes that there is a galaxy level, and that is their sect leader, Yin-Yang. The strength of Yin-Yang is still a mystery, but since he easily caused the death of a star-level man, plus the power of a galaxy-level powerhouse, and the Yin-Yang sect tolerated it, his own strength must be very amazing. So everyone is relatively calm. It's just that Yin-Yang doesn't seem to be dispatched this time, so I feel a little scared of the group of people who are dispatched. Although their sect is powerful and has the ability to fight back against a galaxy-level person, they become the weakest, and if they die, they will really die. But even if you are worried and scared, the mission is the mission. Those who do not want to accept the mission will now be dead on the streets within the Yin-Yang sect, or they may disappear quietly like this. No matter what happens, they will be refrigerated and will never be able to obtain anything. The welfare within the Yin-Yang sect and the guidance on exercises are also impossible for a strong man to accept. Besides, after they knew that this time, the Yin-Yang sect's senior sister, Billy, was accompanying them, everyone felt relieved. Billy's strength still seems to be only at the starry sky level, but everyone knows that the senior sister of the yin-yang sect is the favorite disciple of the yin-yang sect himself. Moreover, she is the first of the four major disciples, except for yin-yang himself. Almost represents the face of the yin-yang section. If she is asked to take action, who would think that this mission will be unsafe? A group that is definitely safe, yin-yang sect master should do all the protection. Wow, I'm going to fight. Billy has been very nervous these past few days. Because she was officially released by the yin-yang master and the yin-yang star was released. Several other disciples would be released from time to time to participate in certain wars, but as the senior sister, as a very high status figure in the entire yin-yang sect, she had never officially participated in a battle. Saying that the yin-yang sect master was protecting her, but she was still very depressed. After all, she is the eldest sister, and she has seen many jokes from the lower class. Her depressed mood is precisely because many people from the lower class are talking about or making fun of her in private or on the internet. Billy didn't want to worry about that, and she didn't want to engage in any kind of speech control. She didn't understand it, and she didn't want to do it. Why couldn't she let others say that she was useless? But finally, it was time for her master to arrange for her to fight in the outside world. This time, I want to show master and the others that I am not that useless. Although I am only at the starry sky level, this strength can also radiate light and heat. Billy has been gearing up. Senior sister, if you leave, can I take a good rest? I'm really tired from the recent transformation. That AO pin was sitting next to Billy. Compared with her body that had not grown much since her strength had increased, AO Pin's body was as big as a kilometer or two, like a mountain. But this mountain has to listen to the little rabbit creature around it. No, Master asked us to teach you how to practice. If you are lazy and can't keep up with the progress, Master is not blaming you, but blaming us, so even if I leave, I will call my friends. I'm here to supervise your cultivation, so don't be lazy. Billy didn't care about his huge body at all, she just turned around and rolled her eyes at him. Well, the product is extremely helpless. If anyone had told him before that he would receive guidance from a starry sky level person in the future, and then had to accept it, AO Pin would probably kill him. But now, the facts are in front of him. AO Pin really accepted the guidance of a starry sky level, and strangely, many of the things taught by this starry sky level are very correct, and he really learned a lot. Of course, what the starry sky level teaches is mainly the yin-yang dao that he has never been exposed to. The other party is the senior sister of yin-yang dao, and he can barely understand it if he has the quality to teach him. It's just that he doesn't understand. A starry sky level dares not to be afraid of a star level creature like him. Could it be that this little girl has never known the terror of the strong since she was a child? She is finally leaving, but I have to accept the guidance of other children. Presumably the caretaker called by the senior sister is also a child. It is pity that I, a stellar star, have been reduced to being the level of management and restraint of a starry sky level, alas, but it's okay, this yin-yang sex Taoism, it is really very powerful. If I can learn it, I will definitely be able to transform my strength in the future. It will take my fighting power to the next level, but in this way, I will be tied to the chariot of yin-yang section. This method is powerful, but without the guidance of a stronger person, I can't practice it myself. What is my understanding? To be honest, if this Tao is really created by the yin-yang sect master himself, I can say that he will definitely not be such a simple person. Even if he is a galaxy level, he will definitely not be an unknown person in the galaxy level. Generation. AO Pin looked at Billy, who was happily preparing to leave, and then thought of the strength of the yin-yang master on the yin-yang peak in the distance, and then let out a long sigh. He knew that since he accepted the yin-yang way of the yin-yang sect, he would never be able to leave the yin-yang section. Otherwise, what would happen in the future? dissipate the power that has been replaced by the positive and negative power of yin and yang, and become the power of the strong man in the universe again? Theoretically, it's possible, but then I don't know how much time it will take. What's more, after experiencing the terror and power of Yin-Yang Dao, will he still be willing to dissipate this power? Aopin thought that he was reluctant to give up. What's more, he came to Yin-Yang sect just to cultivate stronger strength. Although Yin-Yang did not accept him as a disciple now, nor did he teach him personally, there were several Yin-Yang disciples who taught him personally. In fact, at least in the initial stage, there is really no difference. The gains come every day and the conversion speed is getting faster and faster. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2100. It won't be long in the future, the first star with the strongest returner in the entire Yin-Yang sect will completely become a powerful person in the Yin-Yang Dao. At that time, he felt that he and Yin-Yang Dao would become inseparable forever. Haha, even though I had this plan from the beginning, now that I have become a less important role, I still feel a little unwilling. Aopin was extremely helpless. He originally thought that as the first star class to come from the outside world to seek refuge, he would gain a higher status. However, after being in the Yin-Yang sect for so long, he felt that he had somewhat lost himself. He doesn't feel that he is a star at all, and no one looks up to him. But there was nothing he could do about it. It was not that there were no stars in the Yin-Yang sect, there were even several stars. He knew as soon as he heard that they were all stars much stronger than him. Although these stars were very mysterious, their own strength, whether he is strong or weak, he still understands that he is far behind. So, being marginalized is normal. Just as Aopin was thinking this, a voice that shocked and delighted him suddenly sounded in his ears. Aopin, hurry up and speed up the transformation. If you complete the transformation within 1 week, I promise to accept you as my 5th disciple. Ah! Aopin was startled by the sudden voice at first, and then he suddenly realized that these words were said by the master of Yin-Yang. And what the sect leader said about accepting you as my 5th disciple, is he talking about himself? This. In an instant, a huge sense of happiness filled Aopin's entire body. He was extremely excited, and surging. His whole body seemed to have heard something incredible, and he almost fainted suddenly. This sentence represents that the master of Yin-Yang sect, Yin-Yang, is ready to accept him as his disciple. In other words, he has the opportunity to become the disciple of the most admired person today, Yin-Yang. It is simply a blessing from God. Okay, don't get too excited too early. If the conversion is not completed within a week, I will take back my words, and you will never have this opportunity again in your future life, no matter how you behave. Yes, I understand, Lord Sect Master. Aopin jumped up and nodded repeatedly. He was so excited. If he had some dissatisfaction with the Yin-Yang sect before, now with the words of the master of the Yin-Yang sect, all of his dissatisfaction will disappear. At this moment, he had no idea what the Yin-Yang himself, Jia Yan, who said this, was thinking. In fact, Jia Yan didn't take into account the thoughts of this stellar being. Even when he said this, he didn't have the slightest thought of valuing this Aopin. Because he is a star but not extremely talented, so his help to Jia Yan is really not as good as Billy and Ryan. Although Billy and Ryan's strength is not high enough and their talents are average, because they have learned Yin-Yang Dao since they were weak, even if their future strength is not high enough, they will not reach the galaxy level, but Jia Yan estimates that, all the members have been pushed to the star level by themselves, that is, with the strength of Aopin, there is no problem at all. In this case, their strength is still barely adequate, and they were brought up by themselves since childhood, so their loyalty is no problem. Compared with these halfway monks, it is difficult to say that they will cross the star-level strength stage in the future, so it will definitely is much better. After all, for someone like Yeopan, his strength is still astral level after conversion, and the yin and yang dao is good, but it does not allow him to increase the level of his cultivation. It may even restrict his development to a higher level to a certain extent. Will he have any dissatisfaction in the future? Even Jia Yan can't guarantee it. As for the idea of giving the identity of a disciple to Aopin, Jia Yan actually had a very simple idea, that is, to show some powerful people from the outside world that he, the master of the yin and yang sect, would still accept a disciple, and the one he would accept would be a star-level disciple. Disciple, then what kind of strength would be the person who can recruit a star-level disciple? At the very least, he must be in existence at the pinnacle of a star. Otherwise, who would have the nerve to accept a disciple who is a star? The greater possibility is that this strong man is basically a galaxy level. If he is a galaxy level, the pressure on the outside world will definitely be higher. There have been rumors in the outside world before that Jia Yan is a galaxy level person, and there is even a precedent for this strong man to kill a star level person without using his hands. But if he really wants to do it, a powerful star, the existence of the star level peak, can also do this kind of thing. After all, the star level that died that day was just an extremely weak star level. Therefore, whether Jia Yan is really a Xing is still a mystery to others. And even now, Jia Yan has accepted Aobin as his disciple, but there are still great doubts about whether he is a Xing. Uncertainty, therefore, makes the surrounding starry sky still have a lot of mystery. Mystery is a good thing. As a strong man, Jia Yan has deeply experienced the usefulness of this kind of thing. Even if others already know your strength roughly, if you just pretend to be a little bit, others will be hesitant. And may even lead to the resolution of the crisis. And this is one of the reasons why Jia Yan is preparing to set off another smoke bomb to make himself even more mysterious. So he was going to accept Aopin as his disciple. Of course, he had to see if he had any talent. It shouldn't be that difficult for Jia Yan, a star-level powerhouse, to transform his strength into the yin and yang dao. When he fought in the spirit realm before, his subordinates had to transform extremely fast. Of course, it was also related to his personal help. But the problem is that this product is too slow. Several months have passed and the conversion has not been completed. This is a place that Jia Yan is very interested in. That is the strength and talent of Yeopan. Although it is not good, it is definitely not bad, otherwise he would not be able to cultivate to the star level. But the problem is that the speed at which he can transform his strength is not as fast as that of his low-talented subordinates whom he picked up from the stellar battlefield. That's a bit of a problem. Jia Yan wants to observe for himself what the reason is. I have always felt that the interior of the central star field of the Milky Way cannot be perfect. Now it seems that something is wrong, so I have to take a closer look to see where the problem lies. Jia Yan smiled slightly and stood on the yin-yang peak, observing the cultivators below. But Aopin didn't know that the master of the yin-yang sect was actually willing to pay a little attention to himself and just work hard alone. He really has to work hard. Opportunities don't come often. The yin-yang sect master himself said just now that he should be given a chance. If he doesn't grasp it, he will never get another opportunity from the yin-yang sect master in his life. Such a being, what he says is like a promise, and it is absolutely impossible to go back on it, especially for the weak. There is no possibility for them to go back on it. So he had to seize the opportunity this week. Why can't I get rid of my strength? What is it that is holding me back from getting rid of the stellar power? He suffers, he blames himself. I heard that other people, including many semi-star level beings, almost stepped into the semi-star peak of the star. When practicing yin and yang dao, this transformation process is not an extremely difficult thing. It is very fast. He was able to convert and complete the power, but as for him, it took him so long, and he was unexpectedly made a joke, and the conversion was not completed. Even I am a bit weird. This matter has nothing to do with yin and yang dao. I am just getting rid of the power of the original strong man in the universe, but even this power cannot completely make him leave me. This shows that the problem is on my own strength. And the power of the strong men in the universe is the most widely circulated in the central star field of the Milky Way. It is also said to be a modified version by many strong and powerful people, so there should be no problems. Could it be that the problem lies with those powerful people who modified this technique? Suddenly, Aopin's expression changed. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that inside my body, it seemed that after the energy began to be insufficient, there was an invisible line that was pulling on my strength. Although it was not much, there was a force. Subtle energy is guided by this line and transported towards the other party. After Aopin felt this line, he originally thought it was an illusion, but as he pushed back his cosmic energy strength harder, the existence of this line became more and more obvious. This. In the later stage, the weaker the boiling energy is, the greater the proportion of power extracted by this line at all times. Aopin was already filled with fear in his expression. Far above the yin-yang peak, Jia Yan originally put all his energy on his true body, cultivating his strength. After all, he had just devoured so much star core power, how could he not practice well and waste precious stars? What about nuclear power? But when there is a problem with the boiling here, the mental power of the yin and yang clones can detect it. Jia Yan controlled the clone and opened his eyes. How is this going? He was also a little surprised. In fact, after so many days, Aopin was unable to resolve his star-level power. He had been guessing where the problem might be, and it was not that he had never thought about what might be wrong with Aopin, but now something really went wrong. Jia Yan was still extremely surprised. There seems to be a thread on his body that pulls the transport power, and instantly after leaving Aopin's body, he fell into a passage that I don't know where to go from. It may be the distortion of space, entering other places went. Jia Yan only watched it for a few minutes before he saw the problem with Aopin. How is this possible? Could it be some powerful person doing it secretly? And this kind of silk thread, the method of pulling energy from an extremely remote place, is simply unheard of. Jia Yan looked at it for a while and was immediately shocked. After all, he has lived for so long and has seen countless things, but he has never seen such a method. No wonder Aopin has been unable to dissipate his energy, because this line has been locking his body, causing his energy to degrade to a certain level and never fade away. It's almost like controlling someone else's body. Is this being, a thing creature, or something else? Jia Yan looked solemn. Regardless of whether the owner of this thread is a living creature or some technological supplies, it means that this matter is no small matter. The strength and means of the other party are likely to be something that even Jia Yan cannot deal with. But there is a good thing, that is, the thread itself is definitely not strong. If I take action, I can cut it off. Moreover, the opponent's body is definitely hundreds of thousands of miles away from here. Even if I want to do it for a while, I won't be able to get there. Jia Yan does not believe that there is any strong person who can ignore the distance in space. Then that strong person is no longer as simple as a strong person, but directly a god, because in mathematics and cosmology, there is a very famous theory, space equals time, and time equals space. Since you can ignore space, you can also ignore time. What is a person who can ignore time if not a god? Therefore, Jia Yan does not think that the other party can arrive instantly. At most, he can extract the energy from Aopin's body through this thread and go to a distant place. If that's the case, Then let me, stop it. Buzz. Jia Yan fiercely fired out a wave of brainwave power. Click. Aopin only felt that a torrential force came around him, and then the body restraining thread that he couldn't break free suddenly, as if the chain of the chain was broken, directly from the surface that was in contact with the body, suddenly broke. Huh? Hoo, it feels much better. Aopin was stunned for a long time, and in the end, it turned out that it was the Yin-Yang sect master on the Yin-Yang peak who saved him. Thank you, Lord Sect Master. You work hard, and don't mention this to others when you go out. Do you understand? Yes, I understand. There were countless questions in Aopin's heart, and there were some things he wanted to say, but after hearing the cold attitude of the man on top of Yin-Yang Peak, he immediately lost the idea of communicating and sat down again to practice. After this mysterious incident, the speed at which he released his body's power instantly increased by more than 100 times. Not only did Ri Yaopin feel extremely excited, Jia Yan was also a little surprised and confused on top of Yin-Yang Peak. The thread just now. Yin-Yang's thin turtle-like body has an old feeling to it. It's just that the eyes occasionally show a sparkle. If my prediction is correct, this thread must be something made by someone, and it seems, the space that the thread diffuses into is almost all similar threads. Alas, the problem is that I didn't see it clearly and could feel it. Come out, my strength is very different from that of the silk thread maker. At this moment, Jia Yan's heart suddenly started to beat with fear as he recalled the vast ocean-like strength he felt just now when he helped Aopin cut off the thread. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2101. The person who made the thread was probably a person with earth-shattering strength. It is certain to surpass the Territory Lord, because Jia Yan has seen the strength of the Territory Lord, and it is indeed very powerful. The Queen of the Zerg said that she was just more powerful among the Territory Lords, which showed that there must be more powerful Territory Lords. But no matter how powerful the Territory Lord is, Jia Yan doesn't believe that he can reach the level of power just now. So the question is this guy a high-level galaxy, or the legendary galaxy peak? If it were the peak of the galaxy, the problem would be really big. Well, there are really some things in this Milky Way central star region that I can't understand, and I don't dare to understand for the time being. Jia Yan silently looked at Yaopin again, who seemed to be completely comfortable. He saw that his strength was dissipating much faster than before, and he immediately knew in his heart that he would have one more disciple. Although such a piece of silk thread is missing, it does not help the talent of boiling products at all. Even Jia Yan can feel that the silk thread absorbs a little bit of the energy of boiling products and runs through the thread to wherever it is, which is beneficial to Jia Yan. His own cultivation and future prospects were not affected at all. But even so, Jia Yan did not dare to let this kind of thing enter his body, because no one knew whether such a silk thread would affect his life, or under what circumstances the owner of the silk thread wanted to. When your own life is at stake, wouldn't you just let the other party slaughter you? It is very possible that the owner of the silk thread is a super terrifying existence, and then, he passed on his cultivation skills to the entire galaxy central star territory through his cultivation techniques or other methods, and then, throughout the star territory, as long as the powerful ones reach the star level, they will become his energy source. Jia Yan silently analyzed the other party's methods and possibilities, and then sighed softly. This is a strong man. Although Jia Yan does not agree with the other party's actions, thinking about the benefits that may be gained behind it and how much benefit it will bring to this strong man, even Jia Yan is extremely excited. No, the thread of this strong person may also be beneficial to the strong person. For example, when the strong person makes a breakthrough, if the strong person is intentional and uses the thread to guide him a little, then that strong person may be able to the breakthrough was successful. So, is this situation a reason why many powerful people in the central star field of the Milky Way can easily break through? Jia Yan suddenly thought of so much again. If so, then many powerful people, especially those who have broken through to the galaxy, probably will not have any bad feelings towards the thrower even if they know that the silk thread is in their body. After all, the other party helped them break through. It's all like a symbiotic relationship. Of course, everything is Jia Yan's imagination, and Jia Yan has no way of judging what the reality is. In short, for the time being, the existence of this thread is a bit weird to me, so just leave it alone. I hope the owner of the thread won't value this mere thread, otherwise I will be in big trouble. Jia Yan is really afraid that the other party will come and cause trouble. He can't even deal with the Domain Lord creature. If a strong man who is more terrifying than the Domain Lord comes, he would be more happy to surrender and die directly. So whether the owner of the silk thread would come to trouble him, Jia Yan thought that he would not, because he saw so many silk threads, and if one of them broke inexplicably, or if one was discovered by others, the owner would not either. Whatever you say, as long as you don't publicize this matter, you should be fine. In fact, what Jia Yan didn't know was that when he broke the thread on Ao Pin's body, he was far away in a very quiet place. Oh? Did the root break again? This is the 10th time this month. It seems that many people know my existence, but it doesn't matter, the strength of the juniors is just a little bit delicious to me. Besides, the main purpose is to protect them. In exchange for a little bit of their cultivation resources, it is not excessive. I think no one will publicize it. Even if it is publicized, there are probably not many people who can remember me today. A calm voice came from this quiet place. Then I saw this quiet place, the endless white threads, turned into a large white ocean, and a speaking presence emerged. The matter about the Yin-Yang sect and the family that swore not to follow the Force quickly became inexplicable, and everyone in the surrounding Yin-Yang sect seemed to be well known. Every force that disobeys, whether they are high-level people or people at the bottom, are closely observing the movements of the Yin-Yang sect and this force. They don't have any good impressions of the Yin-Yang sect, but the terrifying strength of the Yin-Yang sect still makes each of them extremely fearful. So they are watching how the Yin-Yang sect handles this incident. If it can't be handled well, then they will definitely gradually distance themselves from the Yin-Yang sect in the future. This is the reason why every force, especially the large forces, cannot miss any opportunity to show force. After all, as long as you don't do it right once, there will be countless forces in the future, shouting that you have diminished strength. This is a slogan to launch a counter-attack against you. In this case, it would be better for a relatively friendly force to begin with, but if it is like the Onmyo sect from the beginning, a force that uses its power to convince others will be miserable. After all, it will beat the drowned dog. The Yin-Yang sect itself also understands the importance of this matter, so it can be said that there is nothing unimportant about this matter. And when that force finally publicly stated that it would not provide materials to the Yin-Yang sect, and even called on the forces in the entire starry sky to boycott the Yin-Yang sect, a force that buys and sells by force, the internal and external forces within the Yin-Yang sect sent troops, and indeed the action began. The Yin-Yang sect's foreign troops are always waiting to attack abroad. In the past, every external action was carried out by this foreign troops. Their combat effectiveness was strong and their style of work was outstanding. The ruthlessness can almost make the children in those powerful circles cry. But this time, the Yin-Yang sect sent out troops again, and even more than that, they also sent out Senior Sister Billy, who can be said to be the second most important person in the Yin-Yang sect, to fight this time. You know, Senior Sister Billy of the Yin-Yang sect is an absolutely powerful figure in the Yin-Yang section. Although I heard that she is just a child, because of her intelligence, she is very loved by Yin-Yang himself, and she often makes childish remarks. Ji's words have affected the current trend of the entire Yin-Yang sect. So releasing her represents the yin-yang sect's intention to fight a big war with that force. And it seems that there is no strong person protecting Billy, but no one wants to believe this, because it is impossible for a person like Billy to be sent to fight without the slightest protection. Everyone estimates that the senior sister of the yin-yang sect will definitely be protected by some semi-star level experts, and it is even possible that there are star level experts secretly protecting her. Moreover, with the yin-yang sect's incomparable yin-yang Dao fighting strength, 1.5 star level is almost equivalent to the other 2.5 star level in this starry sky. The same principle applies to 1 star level. Even because the yin and yang Dao's star level are all those mysterious and unidentified star level existences, there may be a big question mark on their strength. It can be said that it is absolutely foolproof. The current situation is to see whether the forces targeted by the yin-yang sect will admit defeat at the last moment, or really dare to fight against the yin-yang sect. After all, for most forces, although the yin-yang sect has not been around for a long time, they still know that the yin-yang sect is indeed extremely powerful in combat. If not, it would not have risen to become a powerful force in such a short period of time. Therefore, this force that dares to stroke the tiger's beard is either testing the bottom line of the yin-yang sect, or it is really relying on it. Of course, another possibility cannot be ruled out, that is, this force is really on top, and is ready to resist the yin-yang sect and seek death. It's just that the possibility of this is not high. In the starry sky, there is basically no force that might do stupid things just because of their passion. The mighty yin-yang sect troops on the bright side are still extremely impressive. In order to deal with what may be the last wave of people who dare to resist the forces of the yin-yang sect recently, the yin-yang sect is probably preparing to teach all the forces and people in the entire starry sky a lesson, so the troops they sent out can be said to be extremely luxurious. In addition to the legendary young disciple Billy who has never been sent out, there are 7 or 8 half-stars. This does not include the half-stars that may be hidden in the dark, plus the stars that may also be hidden. Super strong men, as well as 5,000 warships, a large number of merchant ships, fleets, large and small war fortresses, the whole thing gives people the feeling of being extremely powerful. Of course, if it were another force, this formation would be average. After all, there are 5,000 battleships. For many forces, if they really want to get it together, there are still ways to do it. But it is different for the yin-yang section in the past. The yin-yang sect could defeat a force with 100 battleships, but now with 5,000 battleships, the number and scale of the battleships, as well as the level and strength of the strong ones, are all different from those of the same force. And it can be seen how terrifying the strength of these 5,000 ships is in the yin-yang sect. All the Star Road forces passing by were silent, not daring to say anything, and even more so, not allowing the 5,000 warships to pass by. Naturally, 5,000 warships consume a lot of money along the way, so it is very useful to stop for supplies, barter, and exchange feelings with local forces and people on the way. It was necessary, so these 5,000 warships were just blowing and beating along the way, as if they were celebrating a festival, showing off their power all the way. Even during this section of the journey, they either traded or communicated. When they left, it could be said that they were full of money. Whether it was the overall resources of the fleet or the materials and personal assets of individual soldiers, every one of them was full of money. Become fuller. Each force can be said to dare to be angry but dare not speak out. In this way, time gradually passed, and a whole army of soldiers, horses, and teams, without moving too fast, wandered for nearly a month, and finally arrived at the gate of the force that dared to resist the yin-yang sect. Of course, it is said to be a gate, but it is actually the entrance area to a starry sky. Entering this starry sky is the territory of that power. Hey! You are such a shameless force. I, the yin-yang sect, trade with you because I like you. I have handed over so many good treasures to you, but you are still not satisfied. You are not willing to give me even a planet. It's not too much. A venerable level creature turned into a warrior. What? You yin-yang sect is too shameless. What does it mean to trade with us to look after us? Do we need you, a newly rising rural power, to look up to us? What else does it mean to trade treasures? You scraps of metal, with us trading planets? In this way, if we sell the same thing back to you, will you give it to the planet? Naturally, there were quarrels within that force. A being with half-star strength actually suppressed the noble level creatures here and roared in public. It's just that the venerable level creature here is obviously weaker than the opponent, but at the peak of the venerable level, he is not afraid of the half-star mid-level creature in front of him, and instead sneers coldly. We are a rural force? Which rural force has such terrifying skills as soon as it is established? Which rural force can rise so fast as soon as it is established? If you don't understand, don't speculate on how strong the foundation behind a force is. How can a sparrow know the ambition of a swan? And our yin-yang sex transaction is indeed to give you face. Believe it or not, you can't even grab our yin-yang sex trading rights in the future if you. And you said that what we are selling is forced buying. Sell. This is simply unreasonable. Go and ask, where does our yin-yang sect do forced buying and selling? Every force looks at our trading products, isn't it happy? It's basically because we have taken advantage of you, and you actually want to bite back. One bite. The venerable beings at the end of the yin-yang sect are not willing to admit their mistakes at all, and even want to clean up such an obvious incident of forced buying and selling. Even the yin-yang sect himself couldn't bear to see some creatures. He closed his eyes and didn't want others to know that this was a strong man from his own family. It was simply a bit unreasonable. You. The strong man was indeed very angry. Seeing everyone in the yin-yang sect looking at him coldly and ruthlessly, he felt really wronged. I heard that your senior sister from yin-yang dao is also here. I don't believe it when this friend comes out to speak. There is not even a sensible and reasonable person in yin-yang dao. Who called me? Following the words of this semi-star powerhouse, a very young girl's voice came. Then, under the attention of all the creatures here, a small alien who could tell at a glance that he was no more than 20 years old, as aliens said, jumped up and down from a battleship. Out. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2102. Grandpa, was it you who called me? This little creature had 2 cute rabbit ears. As soon as it came out into the starry sky, it opened its big eyes and looked at the semi-star creature as tall as a mountain. She didn't look like a powerful person, she looked like a little baby. To the creatures above the starry sky, especially those at the semi-star level, a 20-year-old creature is simply a baby. And such a completely ignorant baby is the senior sister of Onmyedo that he wants to meet? Completely confused. Are you the senior sister of Onmyedo? Yes, Grandpa, do you want to play with me? I love playing house. It's fun. Play with your sister? What the hell? This half-star existence didn't know what to say for a while. He thought that the disciple he called out would be a disciple full of wisdom. Even if he had known for a long time that this great disciple of the yin-yang sect should be a very young person, but no matter how young he was still a disciple in his 20s. People who are over 20 years old are a watershed in the universe. Some of the existences in their 20s are either like children or have grown into adults. After all, everyone has different races and different education methods. With such a huge lifespan difference, it is normal for differences to occur. But generally speaking, he still thinks that the great disciple of the yin-yang sect must be a relatively good young man, who can at least have a normal conversation. But what I never expected was that the little bunny-eared girl who jumped up and flew out actually had the personality of a child in her 20s. How the hell did he become the great disciple of Yin-Yang sect? Are all people in the Yin-Yang sect blind? Why does such a great disciple have such a good reputation in the outside world? No, it seems that I haven't heard any rumors about her, let alone a good reputation. That's right. No wonder she has never been famous. It's because she is still a child. The strength is not bad, such a young child is already at the starry sky level, which is not low to say the least. I won't play with you. Your Excellency, first disciple, do you think you will retreat this time? The face of this star-level creature was extremely gloomy. The naughty creature that flew out was naturally little Billy with bunny ears. She was smiling, as if she had no idea what was going on. In the past, little Billy was very afraid of people, but now, because she has become a major disciple of the Yin-Yang sect, she has naturally developed a temper and tolerance after feeling that one person is inferior to 10,000 people for a long time. And the current child's character is half sincere and half is of course pretending. If she was just such a naive child, Jia Yan would not have accepted her as his disciple. At this time, they are just showing their weakness to the enemy and muddying the waters at the same time. Hee, Grandpa, we are here to play with you. If we don't retreat, my juniors told me not to retreat. Does your junior brother have a higher status or do you have a higher status? How can you, a senior sister, still be bewitched by them? They are the same height. My junior brother and I are naturally the same. Grandpa, I'm angry if you keep talking nonsense. Billy looked angry and raised her little fist. If it's just the wrath of your Excellency, the first disciple, it won't be a big deal for me to bear it, but if you and the fleets and powerful men behind you don't retreat, your Yin-Yang sect won't be able to bear the wrath of this force. Bah, you won't retreat, you want to lie to me. Billy stuck out her tongue, looking like a naughty child. You are so angry that I am so angry. In this way, your Excellency, senior sister, I will allow you to attack 10 times. If you can't fight me off, how about you just retreat? We and your Yin-Yang sect are not at odds with each other. Why bother forcing each other? The stellar powerhouse rolled his eyes and suddenly thought of something bad. What did you say? I'll hit you 10 times, what will you do if you don't retreat? Billy looked very interested. The members of the Yin-Yang sect fleet behind them all started making noises. They were afraid that Billy would be deceived by this stellar old man. After all, this eldest disciple is indeed still a little girl, even though everyone understands that she should be smart, not the way she appears now. But the problem is, how can a little girl in her 20s, no matter how smart she is, be able to defeat a star-level warrior who is hundreds of years old in front of her? Facing little Billy's question, the star-level powerhouse's eyes suddenly showed surprise. Sure enough, this child is a child. Even if the other party is a senior disciple of the Yin-Yang sect, there must be something extraordinary about her, but given her grade, she will definitely fall into his own trap. If I don't retreat after being hit by you 10 times, you can just retreat. But if I retreat, you can complete this deal. It means that my power has been defeated. The other party spoke with confidence. Just kidding, he might not be able to take the attack from a mere starry sky level child. Impossible things. You said it, ha ha ha, I want to attack. Billy was so happy that she didn't even get close to the star, because she knew that if the situation really came to a crisis, the other party might arrest her and threaten the people of the Yin-Yang sect. So she doesn't get close. Who? Billy made a move with her little hand, and in the sky, a series of exploding meteorites flew up from the battleship. Ah! The strong man on the opposite side was instantly shocked. This is the winning magic weapon of our Yin-Yang sect now. It is also the greatest weapon that can kill enemies across levels. It is also the terrifying weapon created by my master Yin-Yang. Yin Yang Dao bombs, explode them for me. Billy screamed in a milky voice, and then a large piece of exploding meteorite beside her flew up like a monster. You can't hide, you're a shameless person. Billy looked at the stellar powerhouse here and hesitated for a moment, then shouted at the top of her lungs. When the other party heard this, he realized that it was true, so he stopped moving. How powerful are the weapons of a starry sky-level child? Let me bear them all. A hint of a sinister smile appeared on the face of this stellar powerhouse. Grandpa, these are the first moves. You must be able to withstand it. Billy commanded 20 or 30 meteorite explosives from a distance, which seemed a bit difficult. Under other circumstances, how could a majestic stellar powerhouse be hit by such a slow and laborious move of hers? It can even be said that even a being of the same star level is unlikely to be hit by this move. After all, Billy was using her full strength and her control was out of shape. But Billy didn't say that she had to dodge faster than others. The opponent didn't dodge at all. This prerequisite is that any big move she makes is reasonable. Humph, then don't hide. Let's see what kind of big move the so-called great disciple of Yin-Yang sect can unleash with his starry sky-level strength. When the other party heard Billy's words, he immediately sneered and waited for Billy to make a move. He knew that Billy was only a starry sky level. For a star level, the starry sky level was the level he had been hundreds or even thousands of years ago when he was still young. If he even needed this level of combat power, if he avoids it, it will be a joke for the strong. He has been cultivating for so many years, so it would be easier to die. Speaking of which, the facts are about the same. Billy's strength is strong. With the increase in Yin Yang Dao's combat power, she has achieved good results in several secret starry sky level disciple competitions within the Yin Yang sect. But the problem is that Billy is indeed too weak. Things like brainwave power cannot be compensated by practicing some powerful fighting skills. There is absolutely no possibility of making up for this natural flaw. So she didn't use any other skills. No matter how many skills she had, it would be a joke when she was crushed by her strength. In close combat, there was even the risk of becoming someone else's hostage. So she used the Onmyeto meteorite she made in one fell swoop. Yes, these meteorites were made by her. As for why she is confident that she can win this battle? The reason is too simple. Just now she heard a voice from inside the subspace that was probably Master Yin Yang. Yin Yang told her that she could agree to this fight and fight directly with the opponent. She would use Billy's own moves for the first few moves, and then... Well done. Break it for me. It was extremely difficult for Billy to release a large number of meteorites from the past. To Billy herself, the meteorites were as big as her head, but in the eyes of a star-level powerhouse several kilometers away, they were just tiny dust. Same thing. Before these 20 or 30 meteorites could fly in front of him, the stellar powerhouse's brainwave power surged directly, and then an earth-shattering explosion sounded. These meteorite explosives couldn't even get close to each other. In an instant, they became fireworks in the entire starry sky, which were relatively large. A star-level Yin-Yang Dao expert, especially one like Billy, listens to Jia Yan on everything and listens extremely seriously. If she imitates someone well, the Yin-Yang Dao explosives she creates are almost at the peak of her own level. At least in a battle of the same level, as long as she prepares such explosives, no one would dare to fight against the senior sister. So in the later period, Billy didn't make many such explosives. Unexpectedly, she made so many again today, and the effect was only average. The opponent's brainwave power was directly blocked from the body and exploded into a ball. Yes, a starry sky-level person can create such a terrifying explosive power, and even have a layered sense that is vaguely beyond the starry sky level. The Yin and Yang Dao is indeed a force that we can't even imagine. Although the star-level existence withstood Billy's attack, he was still not happy at all, because this was just a star-level person. Even if he was an outstanding disciple in Yin Yang Dao, as long as he thought about it, similar strength, the existence of Yin Yang sect may be overwhelming, and this star level feels a little chilly. I don't know if it is right to go against the Yin Yang sect. Wow, that's awesome, Master, Master, Master. Billy clapped playfully. She didn't have the slightest confidence that her explosives would hurt a stellar powerhouse. What's more, this is not her trump card. Yeah! Billy screamed, and then an explosive about 5 meters in size flew out from inside the battleship she was riding on. Oh! Is this also that kind of magical explosive? It's very large. It's a pity that for a creature like me, such explosives are still useless. I'll try even if it doesn't work. Let's see what happens. Billy gritted her teeth and waved her little finger, and the 5 to 6 meter diameter meteorite explosive flew towards the opponent's stellar powerhouse. This was a relatively powerful explosive made by Billy herself. Not to mention its earth-shattering power, it represented her level of expertise in making both positive and negative explosives. Senior Sister Billy is actually able to create such positive and negative explosives. She is worthy of being a disciple who is loved by the sect leader. She learns anything in Yin and Yang Tao very quickly. With such meteorite explosives, it is estimated that only a warrior level existence can be created. It is indeed amazing. Senior Sister Billy, it can be said that she is the only true genius among the disciples of our section. The sect leader was so kind to him at first. Senior Sister Billy has such a photographic memory of learning ability. Will be discovered by his old man. Ha ha ha, the lord of the sect is naturally powerful, because everyone is spreading that the lord of the sect may be a galactic level. With galactic level strength, we dare not even think about it. Seeing the hidden talent of the Senior Sister should be nothing. It's a pity that when Senior Sister came out this time, she was the first one she encountered. Was a star level. This was a star level. It was impossible to defeat her no matter what. Even if it exists, I don't know if it will dampen Senior Sister's ambition. I don't know. I hope she won't be affected by this battle. Alas, I don't know why the sect leader asked the Senior Sister to participate in this operation. She is still the only top-level person in charge. In such a situation, it's completely detrimental to her. Silence. The Master's strength is astonishing. If he arranges this, he will naturally have his old man's intentions. How can you confuse and criticize him? Well, I'm sorry, I was wrong. The sect master is indeed not something we can criticize. Maybe he is just preparing to let Senior Sister go through a little hardship so that he can make faster progress in the future. In the Yin-Yang sect's internal fleet, the members of each battleship were watching the battle above the starry sky. Among these people, there was a mantis-like child who seemed to have the same status as an ordinary fleet soldier, but whose strength was only Earth level. Looking at the starry sky, facing a star-level man alone, he did not show any fear. The Senior Sister of Yin-Yang sect has a sense of distance in her eyes. This is the Senior Sister who saved me that day and played with me several times. She seems to be approachable at ordinary times, but in fact, this is the real her. A person younger than me is actually on such a battlefield. Go up and shine, and I are completely in two different worlds. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2103. The young man felt very inferior because this mantis-like child was the miner's child who was personally saved by Billy when the Yin-Yang sect was liberated. Now this miner's kid has become a prefecture-level being. If you want to get entangled, he is actually doing well among a large number of miners' kids, because other kids without talent are still in the city. They live a life at the lowest level. Although they have a job in the yin-yang sect, they are not rich and powerful. If they don't even have skills, they can only do manual labor. But to compare with Billy, the existence above the starry sky that can be said to be the one that attracts everyone's attention, is a joke. It is basically a comparison between a pheasant and a phoenix. Hey, am I overestimating my abilities in my dealings with her? This mantis-like young miner had a look of despair on his face. But when it comes to worrying about Billy's safety, it seems like he's just as unworried as everyone else on this fleet. Because everyone knows that the yin-yang sect has sent this unprecedentedly huge fleet here, so it is impossible for them to come to die. There is no reason and no need. Would the yin-yang sect, which was at its peak, send its eldest disciple and the fleet that now accounts for nearly 30% of the total fleet strength of the yin-yang sect to die without any warning or the slightest reason? Just kidding. Here comes the second move. Billy screamed, and with a wave of her finger, the large meteorite explosive flew towards the opponent. Haha, for a star level, the power of your explosive thing is really not enough. Senior sister, please don't put any more effort into it. Seeing that Billy was like a child who refused to admit defeat, the other party suddenly smiled silently. It's not that he thought that he would be hurt by Billy. The problem was that this kid's family liked to work in vain. Later, he would use too much force and cause her to hurt her internal organs. Then the power on their side would be it's a bit hard to argue with. Now that the yin-yang sect has an excuse, it may also attack again. Of course, he still had to resist this move. Even if Billy dared to attack again, he would have to resist because he had no way out. Boom. In the sky, the self-destructive light of a huge energy explosive erupted again. It's like there is an extra little sun. Still okay? Phew, Billy is tired. Billy looked at the other party's body and saw that he was not shaken at all by the explosion, and immediately exhaled slightly. She knew that the stellar level was powerful, but she didn't expect it to be this powerful. After all, this is the first time Billy has fought half-truths with others in a formal mission, so she can also learn a lot. I still have. Billy tremblingly beckoned a large amount of meteorite explosives from inside the rear battleship again. This time there were more explosives than before, at least 50 or 60, but the size was about the same as the 20 or 30 the first time, so the power of a single one was not actually much enhanced. Against stellar powerhouses, quantity is really useless, either to increase the power of the explosion, or to use so many explosives at one point. It was obvious that Billy was not strong enough to condense explosives into one point. Boom boom boom. The shotgun-style explosion seemed to be connected in one piece, but there was a disconnection process in the middle, so the opponent could still easily bear it head-on. It's just that the sound and shadow effect this time was much more terrifying than the previous two times. The entire star-level creature's several-kilometer-long body was completely enveloped by the power of the explosion. The attack power of Yin and Yang Dao is indeed jaw-dropping. If I weren't much stronger than you, I might not be able to withstand it. After the flames passed, the other party's body appeared loomingly behind the fire. It's just that he said some flattering words to Onmyedo, and then changed the subject. It's a pity that Yin Yang Dao, who has such terrifying combat power, is doing perverse things. Your Excellency, Senior Sister, don't you think that your sect has gone too far? It's not excessive at all. What you did is even worse. What others told me, hey, you want to lie to me? Big liar, watch my fourth move. Billy waved again angrily, panting and waving a battleship over. Don't say I used foreign objects. We didn't say we couldn't use foreign objects just now. Besides, this is my gun. Grandpa, look, the energy in it is the explosive body created by me personally. Don't get me wrong, I don't bully the elderly. As Billy explained, all the warships stopped moving after the opponent's stellar class. The star-level creature was wary for a moment, then carefully looked at the battleship-like thing, and then left. He saw clearly that there was indeed only the kind of thing that looked a bit like an amazing explosive. If it were just these, he wouldn't be afraid at all. Little girl, since you called me grandpa, I won't ask too much of you. Besides, the gap in strength between you and me is too big. It's normal to allow you to use certain foreign objects. Let's get started. The other party looks pretty lively. It's a pity that the atmosphere is just an act. After all, the yin-yang sect wants to use it, can he still refuse? Maybe he made this senior sister who looked a little childish cry, and the entire yin-yang sect would be angry, and then a big war would break out, and he wouldn't be in a good mood either. Although, there is a backhand here, but if the backhand cannot be taken out, it will not be taken out. Some people have thought about it before. If this war can be turned into friendship, then their forces will still have time to wait, let alone on the front lines of the battlefield. The future will be just waiting to get through this crisis quietly. So he didn't want to make a big fuss, even if he knew that if there was a big fuss today, his side would win but not lose, but he still didn't want to. After all, it seems now that the yin-yang sect has great energy. Okay, Grandpa, this is what you said, I'll start. Billy was very angry, as if she had failed several times before and was very embarrassed. She began to continue to activate the brainwave power, and with this activation, a piece of positive and negative force response gradually surged inside the battleship behind her. Hey, the power of the meteorite this time is not more than before, but why does it give me a sense of threat that is getting stronger and stronger than before? The star-level powerhouse had a look of solemnity in his eyes. Because of that warship-like thing, after positive and negative forces surged, one end of the long hull, with a shape similar to a gun barrel, was pointed at itself. Then he remembered. This is a gun. In the previous wars of the yin-yang sect, things similar to guns appeared, and they also exerted overwhelming combat effects on many battlefields. And this is like an enlarged version of that gun-like weapon. This star-level powerhouse moved in his heart, and then smiled slightly. Because he is not afraid. Although this power is definitely too strong. For a star-level powerhouse, it is definitely a killer. But for a star-level person who has the ability to crush the situation, is this still useful? It's useless, it's really useless. Bang. Sure enough, when the battleship exploded with earth-shattering power, the star's face showed a trace of surprise and a hint of composure at the same time. Surprisingly, the energy fluctuations of this shot were stronger than he imagined. But what is calm and composed is that this power is still that of a star-level person, or it can slightly threaten the weaker venerable level, but for a star level like him, it is simply child's play. Boom. Then, the explosives, as if transformed into photons, hit the stellar powerhouse, allowing him to experience firsthand the strength of what might be the most terrifying weapon in the yin-yang sect today. Okay, it is indeed a powerful weapon of the yin-yang section, just this thing can sweep away many surrounding forces. This star's eyes instantly showed approval. He knew that this power was definitely transformed by the starry sky-level senior sister. With such terrifying strength, it is no wonder that the yin-yang sect was called a sect that can kill enemies across ranks by a large number of forces around it. But, that's it? After a burst of earth-shattering explosions, this star-level powerhouse still stayed in place. It was just the power of his brain waves that opened up a trace of energy, completely blocking the bullet-like meteorites that were shot. Humph. Grandpa, you are very evil. You use your power to resist me. If you have the ability, you don't need stellar power. Little Billy was on the other side, jumping up and down in anger. Haha, little girl, you are wrong. Now we are two armies facing each other. Do you think I will agree with such a petty talk? If you want me to use starry sky level power, then you must allow me to dodge freely. Do you think it's okay? This stellar powerhouse was a little funny for a moment. However, when he said these words, no one on either side felt that the yin-yang sect was embarrassed or anything, because the person from the yin-yang sect was just a child that everyone thought he was talking about, and if everyone really started to laugh at him if he said some childish words, then that's a joke. Of course, since Billy has become the general on behalf of the yin-yang sect, if she loses, then what the yin-yang sect promised must still be done, otherwise they should stop it now. This is a war, and children can say childlike things, but a battle that both sides agree on, even if it is a battle with such a wide disparity in strength, must be recognized. I, of course can't do it. Grandpa, just wait. I'll hit you harder. There are still half of the 10 moves. Billy seemed a little less confident, and then she waved again, and saw more energy emerging inside the battleship. Oh, you actually have so many explosives. It is said that the explosives in your yin-yang sect are all made by individuals. You are wasting your time making these. Why not practice well? It seems that your talent is good. It is not good to waste time in vain. The star-level powerhouse, after having some contact with Billy for a while, actually started to show off his senior skills. You're just wasting your time. Billy suddenly became furious and detonated the detonated explosive again. Bang! The gun-shaped battleship sprayed out a ball of explosives similar to the previous ones from the gun barrel that was more than 1 kilometer long, and this time the explosive seemed to be extremely powerful, compared to the one just now, obviously much stronger. This stellar powerhouse suddenly released more of his power, and then, outside the brainwave power wall he released, the cannonball hit the brainwave power wall he had arranged. He felt his whole body was shaken so much that he almost stepped back. What's going on? This power is at least 10 times stronger than before. After the expression of the stellar powerhouse changed, he suddenly narrowed his eyes and looked coldly at the battleship group behind Billy. I wonder which one of you made the move secretly just now? Isn't this a bad approach? Please come forward and talk about it. This force needs a reason. His words received no response. He only received a burst of cynicism from the yin-yang sect insiders. What? This star-level force actually wants to go back on its word after being sensationalized. It didn't move, but it almost moved just now. Now it's worried and wants to discredit us. But, we don't have any strong people taking action here. No one takes action at all. Haha, is the astral level like this? Fortunately, I used to regard the astral level as a god, but now I see it's bullshit. But senior sister is really powerful. She can almost shock the opponent's body. Inside the yin-yang sect's more than 2,000 battleships, a large number of yin-yang sect warriors were surprised by Billy's attack. The Starry Sky class almost touched a star class. Are you surprised or surprised? Billy was also a little happy because of the power of her attack. Wow, ha ha ha, I added a little bit of the treasure fragments that Master gave me, and it's so much stronger. It's really useful. Huh? Did you use what your master gave you, what Yin Yang taught you? Billy's honesty made the other party quickly see something was wrong and asked directly with cold eyes. Billy was still so honest and nodded vigorously, as if she was very powerful. Yes, the thing that Master gave me to protect myself can kill stars. The fragments often fall off, so I pick them up and fuse them into my explosives. Hey, Grandpa, am I so good? The opponent's star level was instantly speechless. No wonder, the shot just now was so powerful. Why did you use something from Master's so-called protective thing? Is this your own strength? The Master that Billy mentioned must be Yin Yang, the Master of the Yin Yang sect, and that's right. This strong man originally didn't agree with Yin and Yang a little bit, but now it seems that even this strong man's protection, the explosives added to the object's fragments, were almost unstoppable. Of course, he did not dare to question Yin Yang's strength anymore. But set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2104. Your Excellency, Senior Sister, are you sure that this blow is your own power? This should belong to an external force, right? Ah. Why? I didn't borrow my melted master's power from him. Besides, my master has said that when a strong man fights with a weak one, it means humiliating and bullying others. Not only do you fight with me, you still have to pay so much attention to me, Grandpa, you are so embarrassed. What Billy said made the opponent's stellar powerhouse blush instantly. Yes, this is the reason why Billy called the other party Grandpa in the first place. This guy can't talk about Billy's problem. After all, people call you Grandpa. How do you feel about such a young girl? That's what Billy can do. As for the 10-move agreement between Billy and the other party just now, it was also approved by a certain voice, otherwise she would not have dared to make such a decision. So who is this voice? The answer is still obvious. There are still many more moves. Grandpa will take them. Billy didn't wait for the other party to finish speaking, waved her arms again, shouted a few times with babbling sounds in her throat, and once again fired more terrifying ammunition from the battleship-shaped barrel. Bang! In the heaven and earth, there is a meteorite bullet that is far more powerful than before, bombarding the body of this star-level existence with great power. Damn it! That star-level powerhouse was in an extremely bad mood. He is not a fool. How could he not think clearly about what the other party did? He still thought that he was facing a child, but now he didn't think so. This child was a difficult target. She will take advantage of her age and hide her strength. The most ruthless thing is that she knows how to adapt and openly use her master's strength to find excuses with dignity. Of course, the reason is also very sufficient, otherwise people around her would think that she really wanted to use her starry sky level strength to fight a star level. That's a fool. It's the right thing to have other battle plans now. Boom boom boom. Facing the incoming cannonballs again, the stellar being instantly felt the astonishing power. How to block this? This stellar powerhouse instantly no longer had the slightest thought of carrying it on. He hurriedly retreated to his side. The power of the cannonball passed by his body, and even if it did, it left this stellar powerhouse in a state of embarrassment. His eyes were filled with horror for a moment. You know, he doesn't agree with the yin-yang of the yin-yang section at most, he just thinks that there is a relatively powerful person behind him, but the current situation seems to have slapped him hard in the face. Horrifying. If I were hit from the front, I would definitely be injured a little. And is this just the energy stripped off the life-saving thing that yin and yang gave to the apprentice? This, if it was the life-saving thing itself, what would happen? Strength. At this moment, he turned to look at the little bunny-eared girl, and for a moment he actually felt that this seemingly harmless little girl made him feel a little scared. After all, her strength is indeed not very good, but she holds this terrible life-saving thing in her hand. It's no wonder that yin-yang dares to let such a little girl run around and lead the army. Well, it seems that this yin-yang sect is indeed beyond our power. We have to ask the person behind it to come forward. If we just ask him to come forward, our future dominance will be completely sidelined. But it is better than our power. Become a vassal of the yin-yang section. This star is one of the masters of the force behind it, and there is another star in that force who is similar in strength to him. They originally knew that although the two star-level ones of theirs seemed to be more powerful, it was still impossible to fight against the yin-yang sect, which could easily kill the star-level ones, so they had no intention of going it alone in the first place. A force fights against the yin-yang sect. If they hadn't found helpers, they wouldn't have gone against the current and not given face to the yin-yang sect when everyone was gradually accepting their fate and began to provide a large amount of materials to the yin-yang sect. And in this case, the helper's strength must be strong enough, Otherwise they will not feel safe. So, is the helper they are looking for this time capable? Can you make them feel safe? How could there not be a dignified galaxy-level being? This stellar powerhouse smiled slightly as soon as he stepped away. Because he retreated, the reasonable reasons for forcing the members of the yin-yang sect to retreat no longer exist. Then they can only ask that person to come forward, and what happens next is beyond his control. At least he knows one thing, that is, the people of the yin-yang sect must have figured out a problem, because this being is a strong man who has reached the galaxy level. Grandpa, if you quit, you lose. You must abide by our business agreement and give us money. No, you are trading with us? Humph, hurry up. Little Billy became very happy when she saw this stellar powerhouse releasing the positive and negative meteorite explosives. Because this was her first victory in a formal battle. By the way, this is also Billy's first time fighting alone. Little girl, your tricks are very interesting. But if you want to get benefits from playing house like this, it's a bit childish. Suddenly, Billy felt that her whole body suddenly became tight. And it wasn't just her, but the entire starry skyland had a similar feeling. This meant that the person who spoke was not targeting Billy alone, but was controlling the entire place to death. Including the more than 2,000 battleships behind Billy, the weak ones feel that it is impossible to move at all, while the stronger ones, such as the Starry Sky class, the Venerable class, etc., are slightly better. But each one also has a shocking pressure. This is the strength of the top strong ones. It is impossible for ordinary weak people to have the ability to deal with the strong ones. The primary gap lies in the terrifying gap in brainwave power. The brainwave power of the strong can easily control the body of the weak. Even if it is just a threatening brainwave power, it will make the weak unable to move. In serious cases, the strong can make the weak hallucinate and control the opponent's body. Thinking, Jia Yan once used this technique. Of course, for strong people, this kind of move is useless, and they don't even bother to use it. Well, this was the first time that Billy felt the pressure from a terrifying level powerhouse. She felt like a small fish submerged in the water. She opened her mouth to breathe heavily, as if she couldn't breathe. Damn it, what kind of strong man is this? What's going on? This force actually has such powerful people. Are they at the top of the stars? No, even the strongest people at the top of the stars cannot reach such a level of brainwave power. This is galaxy. In the battleship behind the yin-yang sect, several relatively strong men, that is, semi-star level beings, had wildly changed expressions and were talking with the power of brainwaves. Every one of them felt their hearts sink suddenly when they thought of the strength of the powerful person coming. They are at the semi-star level, and their understanding of the strong must be better than that of the average weak. It is even more clear about the huge gap between the star-level powerhouses and the galaxy-level powerhouses. Anyway, regardless of whether it is galaxy-level or not, it is definitely an existence that they cannot fight against. What to do now? No one showed up, which made it difficult for the more than 2,000 warships here to move. The strength of a galaxy-level being is truly unimaginable. What should we do now? No one expected that the so-called backman of this force would actually be a star? Stars, haven't they been discussing things recently? Isn't it possible to come to this starry sky? Damn it, what should we do now? Our yin-yang sect may not even be a star-level force. No, some strength is coming from my body. This person is trying to restrain our semi-star class. Why bother? Sir, you are so surprised that you came to our yin-yang sect in person. Although there are rumors in the outside world that the leader of our forces is a galaxy level, but even we don't know whether I am really or not. You are actually here in such a big way. Are you making a fuss out of a molehill? Several half-star level people were the most powerful yin-yang sect experts present. Since the senior sister could not even speak at this time, they naturally had to stand up. No matter how they joined the Yin-Yang sect, after such a period of time in the Yin-Yang sect, everyone's recognition of the Yin-Yang sect has become higher and higher. Otherwise, it would have been too late for them to excuse themselves before. Yin yin yin. While these half-stars were talking, a gap opened in the darkness of the universe. Inside, a white animal that looked like a dragon and horse, nearly 20 kilometers tall, slowly walked out. The size of such a creature is the weight of most of the Yin-Yang sect's battleships, and its strength is naturally earth-shattering and shocking. Wherever he glanced, the creatures there were unable to move at all and were trembling. "Hey, you guys from the Yin-Yang sect, how long do you want to hide? Do you just want these few half-star level beings from your power to come forward and speak out?" He didn't even look at it. The semi-star level expert in the Yin-Yang sect spoke coldly to a certain place in the starry sky. No one knows what this galaxy-level existence means. But in the starry sky that was watched by the galaxy-level powerhouses, there were actually 1, 2, 3, a total of 6 powerhouses who released a strong sense of energy. When they walked out of it, these onlookers, it was a sudden realization. It turns out that the Yin-Yang sect is not without backups. No wonder, after all, the senior sister of the Yin-Yang sect is traveling, so how could she not send some reliable strong men? What makes everyone in the Yin-Yang sect a little depressed is that what they say is powerful is what they think. They are all familiar with the 6 powerful people in this line. They are all the star-level seniors of the Yin-Yang sect who are mysterious and active in various battlefields recently. Everyone knows that the strength of each of these seniors is only at the star level. Even within the star level, they do not seem to be extremely powerful beings. But now, what Yin-Yang sect has achieved is these star levels. The stellar level is powerful, but if you want to compare with the galaxy level and fight with the opponent, it will simply cost the life of a star-level strong person. It's just that no one knows why these stars were so calm and not afraid at all when they walked out. Ha ha ha, I see. Did the Yin-Yang sect really make a miscalculation? The manpower sent to protect them was actually only a star level. I wonder if your sect leader felt that he had made a miscalculation after I appeared here. The galaxy-level being saw several mysterious star-level beings from the Yin-Yang sect filing out, and he immediately burst into laughter. After all, he had the same idea as other strong men in the outside world, thinking that the Yin-Yang sect would definitely lose this battle. He was a galaxy-level, who could resist it? It may not be a miscalculation. Among the 6 stellar powerhouses, the monkey-like creature spoke calmly. That's right. These 6 star-level existences are not the masters of the Yin-Yang sect as the outside world thinks. They are star-level subordinates recruited from the outside world. Jia Yan does not have so much energy to recruit subordinates. These are all clones of himself. It can be said that they are exactly the same as the sect master Yin-Yang who sits in the Yin-Yang sect. At this time, each of these clones had solemn expressions. After all, they were about to truly face a galaxy-level powerhouse. Jia Yan is able to control every clone of himself, but for some reason, there are traces of autonomous perception among the clones. Even Jia Yan himself can't explain clearly. It seems that the clones he controls are conscious, but they don't look like himself. In general, Jia Yan still has a firm control over the clones. It is not like many novels or other strong men, where the clones actually have self-awareness and then devour the master. Anyway, what Jia Yan was speaking at this time was not the usual situation where Jia Yan was completely word by word and even had to control his vocal cords. He was just roughly instilling consciousness into the clone, and the clone seemed to have understood it himself. This is a very good thing for Jia Yan, so that he can even control a few more clones for detailed combat. The 6 major stars appear, naturally they will not appear for peace. Oh. After hearing this star-level monkey-like creature speak like this, the other galaxy-level being looked at the 6 star-level creatures in front of him with his huge dragon horse body. Huh? It's a bit weird, what kind of brainwave power is this? It's very coordinated, and it has a strange sense of balance. Are they sextuplets? Or something? Then, this zinc level suddenly felt that something was wrong. Something's wrong. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website.